After sending off the formidable presence of the eldest princess and her towering golden Buddha, Mingxie could finally begin the real task, searching Peach Blossom Temple. Despite its elegant architecture and scenic reputation, the temple itself was small. Aside from the expansive peach blossom grove in the rear garden, the structure only extended about 3 zhang deep. Flanking the central hall were 2 small gardens, each divided into 4 courtyards. Guards and government servants combed every corner with practiced vigilance. Peach Blossom Temple was known for its refined atmosphere and fragrant incense. Every corridor was carefully constructed, each step offering a new view. In the backyard, a well provided fresh water for the grounds, a detail that should have seemed mundane. Yet, as Mingxie passed the well, something pulled at him. Was it the countless martial stories he'd consumed over the years? Or the intuition honed by battles and betrayals? Whatever the reason, he found himself stepping closer. Peering down, the stone-lined shaft reflected the faint halo of daylight above. But that wasn't all. There was also fire. His breath caught. Fire? In a well? "Guards," he shouted. "Get someone down there. Something's not right." A thin yamen runner was quickly secured with the rope of the bucket and slowly lowered into the darkness. Most wells weren't this wide, just enough for a child or a slim woman. Only someone unusually slight could fit through. Moments later, the runner's shout echoed up the shaft. "Your Highness, there's a hidden passage down here." Mingxie narrowed his eyes. Wuxia novels, it seems, aren't entirely fiction. "Break the well open," he ordered. Stone and brick were shattered. Earth was dug, slow and grueling. The passage was gradually widened until a grown man could squeeze through. Finally, they gave a nod. "Your Highness, it's ready." Descending into the depths, Mingxie entered the passage. To his surprise, it wasn't a crude tunnel. The walls were laid with blue brick, the floor paved with stone. Damp but stable. Maintained. Oil lamps lined both sides. The oil inside each was half full. Someone had kept them lit, perhaps recently. They advanced a short distance before coming to a stone door. The moment it opened, a wave of stench burst forth. Blood. Fresh and rotting, coppery and sweet, oily and thick. The kind of scent that made eyes water and stomachs lurch. "Torches," Mingxie barked. As firelight filled the chamber, color spread. Red. Bright red. Deep crimson. Rust brown. The walls, the floor, the tools strewn about. Everything was soaked in blood. Pools of it glistened in corners. Weapons glinted coldly through the viscera. "This is our first crime scene," someone murmured. Several guards turned away and retched. Even Mingxie had to cut off his own sense of smell. Slaughterhouses were never this gruesome. The torchlight swayed, and in its glow, something caught his eye. A single peach blossom, perfectly placed on a table. Another door waited beyond. Inside, 3 or 5 girls lay on the cold stone floor, including Miss Sun, daughter of Vice Minister Sun. They looked peaceful, almost as if merely asleep. Hands folded over their bellies, cheeks tinged with faint blush. Not a hint of pain or struggle. "Get them out," Mingxie ordered. 2 women came forward to gently lift the girls. None of them stirred. Whatever spell they were under ran deep. He followed the corridor further. It sloped gently upward until it ended at a wooden trapdoor. A niche carved into the door held another peach blossom. The switch was unhidden and simple. He turned it. The door swung open. Light spilled in from the temple above, and waiting there were his people, looking back at him in anxious relief. "Your Highness," a guard reported, "we found lanterns hanging throughout the peach blossom grove." They were simple bamboo-framed lanterns, each painted with graceful portraits of women. But the truth was horrifying. They were made of human skin, delicately painted with lifelike images, birth dates etched into each one. Every lantern represented a stolen life. "Burn them all," Mingxie commanded, his voice low. He pictured the lanterns swaying among blooming peach trees, admired by innocent visitors. Perhaps those same visitors were now hanging in the branches above, their faces forever etched onto skin stretched thin. It was monstrous, beautifully monstrous. and disturbingly clever. Thankfully, this world, despite its strange spiritual leanings, wasn't one of overt demons. Most supernatural elements were obscure, subtle. Still, if horrors like this became common, even the strongest minds would falter. There might yet be a wandering monk, or Ma Taupa with curses on her tongue, waiting to be encountered. But if this world was no longer ordinary, Sin Ming-che reminded himself, neither am I. Even though the young lady had been found, the two women who had been speaking with her remained missing. The full details of the abduction were still unclear. The temple's priests and nuns were already in custody. With time, interrogations would yield answers. Yet a strange suspicion tugged at him. Was his aunt, the eldest princess, involved? It was a dangerous thought. He would have to write a memorial to his father, the emperor. But the truth couldn't be told plainly. Ghosts and demons, secret blood rites, it would incite panic. No, the report must be written in the refined language of the spring and autumn annals. Subtle, layered, suggestive without confession. And so, he would write, "The Peach Blossom Temple, corrupted by the worship of wild gods, fell to possession. Deceived by illusions and authority, they kidnapped young girls. These girls were sacrificed, their skins painted into lanterns and hung upon the trees. The priest spoke of the soul ascending to serve fairy immortals. But this was no paradise, only the darkness of man, cloaked in sacred words." At long last, the tragedy had come to an end. Though many questions remained unanswered, Sin Ming-che could not afford to pursue them openly. The case had to be closed, for the sake of the capital's peace and his father the emperor's trust. The official conclusion was written. The veil was drawn. The Jingzhaoyin, held responsible, was demoted 3 ranks and reassigned as a minor county magistrate. In his place, the former deputy was elevated to take the role. Outwardly, order returned. The capital resumed its calm rhythm. Citizens content with the illusion of justice served. But beneath that facade, Sin Ming-che acted quietly. His own people continued investigating in secret, monitoring the shadows this incident had left behind. For now, he returned to court, trailing after Minister Lin Rahai, continuing his studies in governance. It was dull, insufferably so. Lin Rahai noticed his restlessness. Perhaps out of pity, or simply a desire to spare them both, he made a suggestion. "Shall we take a break, Your Highness? Perhaps visit Rongwa Mansion." Sin Ming-che's interest perked immediately. Rongwa Mansion had long intrigued him. This was the perfect chance to satisfy his curiosity. Though mildly surprised at the prince's sudden enthusiasm for the Jia family, Lin Rahai raised no objection. In truth, it made things easier. Escorting the prince to the home of a former loyalist was a task far less taxing than dragging him through dull court briefings. The emperor, still fond of the late Duke Rong of 2 reigns past, gave permission without hesitation. After all, what harm could come from allowing his son to visit a veteran's household? However, the crown prince and the second prince were not as pleased. What did this mean? Was the emperor granting the third prince leeway to build ties with the aristocracy? Sin Ming-che, unaware or unconcerned, thought nothing of it. The once glorious Jia family was in decline. There was little political advantage to be found in their drawing rooms. Still, the household was curious. He'd heard whispers and stories. It was time to see it for himself. They reached Roning Street. 2 massive stone lions guarded the entrance. 3 archgates with carved beast heads stood tall, and a dozen gorgeously dressed servants lined the steps with proud expressions. The main gate was sealed. Only the corner gates on the east and west allowed passage. A plaque above the central gate bore bold, fading characters, "By Imperial Edict, Mansion of Ningwa." Traveling westward, they soon arrived at Rongwa Mansion itself. Sin Ming-che had come incognito, not as a prince, but as a mere nephew of Lin Rahai's colleague. Hence, they entered through the west corner gate. "Madame Rongwa and Grand Madame Sher are still in residence," Lin Rahai explained. "We should pay our respects. Of course, it would be discourteous not to greet the elders." They passed through the front yard, entered the ceremonial gate, and crossed into the hanging flower gate. Hand-painted verandas lined either side. A red sandalwood-framed marble screen stood at the entrance hall. Behind it lay 3 smaller parlors and, beyond them, the main courtyard. The 5 upper rooms of the main residence boasted intricate carvings and paintings. Verandas stretched on either side, with thrushes and parrots singing from hanging cages. On the stone platform sat several young girls in red and green. At the sight of Lin Ruhai and Sin Mingche, they leapt to their feet. "My uncle, what a rare visit. Who is this young master?" "Your nephew." Before they could gossip further, an older maid approached and bowed. "Greetings, honored guests. The old madam awaits you inside. She has been eager for your visit." The maid had an oval face, fair skin dotted with a few freckles, and sharp, expressive eyes. Her figure was upright, dressed in crimson silk with a green satin vest and a white crepe scarf. She was clearly Yuan Yang. She opened the curtain and stepped aside, remaining stationed at the door. Had Sin Mingche come with full royal fanfare, the Jia household would have been required to kneel in the front yard to receive him. To avoid spectacle and discomfort, he came privately, his identity known only to a few of the household's inner circle. Yuan Yang, it seemed, was one of them. As the curtain lifted, the venerable Jia matron rose from her seat. Hair silvered with age, cheeks still rosy with vitality. Her eyes twinkled kindly as she greeted them. "I, Jia Shi, humbly greet His Highness the Third Prince." "Please, Grand Madam, don't stand on ceremony," Sin Mingche said, stepping forward to help her sit. "I come today simply as a guest." They exchanged pleasantries and soon settled down. Yuan Yang sent word to summon the male heads of the household. Sin Mingche made no objection. He was eager to meet the figures behind the family name. "I've never met the descendants of the Duke Rong in person. A rare opportunity," he said, sipping the tea placed before him, pu'er with green mandarin, golden in color and fragrant in taste. Jiamu beamed. In between sips and pleasantries, she subtly pried into his thoughts on Yuanshan. "The Lady Jia? She served in the Queen's palace, does she not? How would I have seen her?" Sin Mingche replied smoothly with a mild smile. "But it is said the Queen favors her greatly." He said much, yet revealed nothing. Soon, Jia Zheng and Jia Shi arrived, bowing respectfully. One was tall and lean, refined with 3 strands of scholarly beard. The other was round and ruddy, with a sycophantic smile that seemed permanently fixed in place. Behind them stood Jiao Yin, quiet and respectful, clearly wary of his elders. "I heard," Sin Mingche began, "that your household has a child born with jade in his mouth, etched with strange characters. Bao Yu, is it? Why isn't he here?" The question made Jia Zheng's face stiffen, his expression darkening. "Alas, your highness has heard of that evil child." Bao Yu was 5 now, already prone to chasing rouge boxes and teasing maids. Jia Zheng, determined to steer him toward virtue, sought strict discipline. But Jia Mu shielded him, letting the boy remain at her side. At the mention of Bao Yu, she smiled indulgently. "He's a clever child. Come, let me bring him out to greet His Highness." A small boy was led forward, round-cheeked, sparkling-eyed, with an innocent charm that brought a smile to even Sin Mingche's lips. "And where is the famed jade? Might I see it?" "Of course." Jiamu gestured. A maid carefully removed the string from Bao Yu's collar, wrapping the jade in silk before handing it over. It was egg-sized, clear as water, shimmering with 5-colored veins. The light danced across its surface like clouds. Sin Mingche took it in his hand, admiring its weight and luster, when suddenly warmth flared from his chest. Something on him had reacted.
Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
What is it that is hot in my arms? It was the talisman that Sin Mingche asked for, stamped with the Emperor's seal, and said that all evil spirits should be dispersed. As soon as this thing became hot, Sin Mingche knew that this piece of psychic jade was really not a good thing. Although it may be beneficial to Bao Yu, it may not be beneficial to others. It can be seen from this that the Yixing Yi in the original text is not a serious guy. Sin Mingxie thought in his heart. With a calm expression on his face, he admired the jade for a while, held it up with a handkerchief, returned it, and said something like, "The kid looks smart, and he will definitely have great fortunes in the future." Class cliches. The three men of the Jia family just sat there to accompany the guests. Sin Mingxie had a clever mouth and a noble status, which made Jia's mother smile. It's not easy for the Third Highness to come here. There's nothing interesting at home. The only thing that's interesting about this garden is that I'm brave enough to invite your highness to enjoy it. There's also a small show prepared in the garden, so I will take my grandson and sister to have fun with his highness. Sin Mingxie nodded. The old lady is interested. This is the answer. Zhao Yan led the way, Jia Zheng supported Jia Mu, half a step behind Sin Mingxie, and Lin Ruhai and Jia she walked behind together. The group of people walked slowly into the garden. This garden has also been newly renovated. It was built by Shan Zai. Although it is not as good as the royal garden, it is based on the interest of Jiangnan gardens. As they walked, Jia Mu introduced Sin Mingxie. Sin Mingxie seemed to have remembered something. By the way, I remember that the eldest son of Mr. Zheng entered school at the age of 14. Why don't we see him? After hearing this, Jia Zheng's face turned sad, but he did not dare to show it, and reluctantly said, "Your Highness, please inquire." Quanzi failed the provincial examination, was depressed in his heart, and was ill gone. Sin Mingxie looked slightly surprised. The government expresses condolences, but I made a mistake. Jia Zheng said hurriedly that he didn't dare. Although there is no grand view garden now, the gardens of Duke's mansions like Jia's mansion are also carefully built with a lot of scenery, and they are built in a Jiangnan style. Each step is a scene, which is quite interesting. Sin Mingxie just thought it was a walk in the park for future generations and walked around in a circle while Zhao Yan explained it, which was really interesting. When we walked to the garden, it was time for lunch. In the garden, a small stage was set up against the rocks for landscaping, and there were several tables underneath it. If you wanted to have lunch, you would set it up here. Several people were seated separately. Jiamu pointed out her grandchildren to Sin Mingxie. At this time, several girls in the Jia family were still young, especially Shichuan, who was only 1 year old, but they could already tell that they were beauties. The three girls were all wearing the same gold skirt with flowers and butterflies, a goose yellow shirt to welcome the spring, a coral-colored shirt to explore the spring, and a fruit green shirt to celebrate the spring. They were all held by the nanny and saluted him. They didn't look like each other. They are cousins, almost like biological sisters. Taking advantage of the age gap, Sin Mingxie reached out and took off a piece of clothing from his waist, holding it in his hand to play with Shichuan. Shichuan giggled and stretched out her little fleshy hand to grab it. But she's not as cold as if she wanted to be a sister-in-law when she grows up. Seeing that Shichuan had caught him, Sin Mingxie also let go. "It's just a line. Leave it to your young ladies to play with." After saying that, he took off the sachet and handed it to Ying Chun, and took the bracelet and handed it to Tan Shun. I was also negligent and didn't prepare gifts in advance. I just used these little things to play with. Originally, it was inappropriate to give a foreign man's belongings to a girl, but they're still young now. The oldest Ying Chun is only 5 or 6 years old, so it doesn't matter if they accept it. Jiamu was so happy that her smile turned into a flower. The girls in your mansion are all very handsome. I wonder if some flower god from the sky was reincarnated. Sin Mingxie complimented Tan Shun a few times and teased Tan Shun. Tan Shun is the same age as Daiyu, but now he is only 3 years old. He is as small as jade snow, with delicate eyebrows, and is as good as a doll. Seeing her, Sin Mingxie thought of Daiyu and the rose-like temperament with thorns in the original novel, and couldn't help but fall in love with her. Mrs. Wang stood aside like a bodhisattva, with a smile on her face and secret hatred in her heart. She was just a concubine crawling out of a girl's belly. How could she win the favor of His Highness the Third? I just pity her, Yuan Shun. She was born on the first day of the new year. She must have a daughter of great fortune, and she is still serving people in the palace. After chatting and joking for a while, a girl came over with a play list and asked everyone present to order a play. Sin Mingche ordered the lively play of the happy reunion and handed the play list to Jiamu. The dishes on the table are Jiangnan style, which mainly highlights the original flavor of the ingredients. They taste very delicious, which really suits Sin Mingche's taste. The first play on the stage was Suo Lin Nong, which was about the story of karma and good retribution. It was very lively. This Qing Yi's voice is quite good. I'm inviting the Chunkai class in Beijing. If your highness feels good about it, please order more. Jiaxi smiled flatteringly. I'm afraid I won't be able to make it in time. Lin Rahai took out a pocket watch and looked at the time. His Royal Highness must rush back at the palace gate. Although this play is good, we can't listen to it too much. Sin Mingche smiled. Don't mention it. The team outside the palace is just different from the one inside the palace. The one inside the palace sounds exquisite, but it is not as interesting as the one outside the palace. I'm afraid I won't be able to enjoy listening to it today. If there's a chance someday, let's come out and play again. But they saw a little boy tiptoeing in to deliver a message, but he was looking for Lin Rahai, bringing him great good news. Jiamin is pregnant again. Really? Lin Rahai was overjoyed, and Jiamu was also happy. Sin Mingche kept saying congratulations while making calculations in his mind. This should be Daiyu's younger brother, who only lived to be 3 years old. However, in order to prevent Sister Lin from being left alone in the future, Sin Mingche really had some ideas to save this younger brother. He didn't believe that if Lin Rahai was not dead and had a biological brother alive, Lin Daiyu could still fall into the fate of Jade Belt hanging in the forest, as mentioned in the verdict. After returning to the palace, Sin Mingche paid his usual greetings to the queen and concubine Liang and returned to his courtyard. Before I lay down, I heard a noise from behind. What's up? It turned out to be Miss Chow from the backyard. She heard that His Highness was back and wanted to come to pay his respects. But he said that Chow Hongdo had never seen Sin Mingche's face since he was brought in. The servants are also responsible for serving food. Although they are not treated badly, they cannot be respected enough. Miss Chow was also very high-spirited. After being treated coldly for a while, she didn't lose heart. Instead, she went dormant and secretly bribed the eunuch under her with money, and actually sent a letter to Jia Yuanshan. Jia Yuanshan came to the palace not to serve others. He had big ambitions and went to the prince's backyard. The two hit it off immediately, and it can be said that they worked together. Jia Yuanshan was at the queen's place and was well informed. Knowing that Sin Mingche had gone to his home, he couldn't help but think about it. Could it be that she wanted to enter the third prince's room? Then he secretly sent a message to Chow Hongdo so that she could find out more. Chow Hongdo wanted to be favored again and was anxious to see Sin Mingche. She dressed up and wanted to come to the main courtyard but was stopped, and then she started to make a fuss. Sin Mingche pressed his eyebrows, then let her in. Chow Hongdo wore a chibija with light lotus and red bird pattern, a goose yellow satin shirt, a pink rose satin skirt, and a white silk sweat scarf. Because she didn't go to bed, she still had her hair styled like a girl's, with only a pomegranate flower on her head. It looks much simpler, which is in line with her identity. I have met His Highness, the Third Highness. Rise. She raised her head, a look of grievance on her plain white face. I finally see Your Highness again. This is where there is some resentment. Sin Mingche agreed to let her in, not out of impatience, but because he was thinking about whether he could pass some false news to Jia Yuanshan through her. Come over. He hugged his waist and held his hands, feeling the warm fragrance and jade in his arms, making Sin Mingche feel a little refreshed. But the incense on Chow Hongdo was too strong, which somewhat dampened his interest. Third Highness. Chow Hongdo blushed. When you enter the palace, you can't be the same as you are at home. My concubine. Okay, no excuses, just behave yourself in the future. Yes. After teasing her for a while, Sin Mingche asked her to go back as before, then called Yabai again and ordered. I know this Miss Chow is not restless, right? Your Highness, forgive me. That's all. I didn't want to accuse you at all. I just want to ask you, do you know who sent the message to her? Back to Your Highness. It's John Newshire from the Queen's Palace. Oh, that's right. Remember, in the future, I will let them deliver any messages they send, but I have to know the content. Remember? Yes, remember. Little did they know, Chao Hongdo and Jia Yuanshan were planning a big event. Jia Yuanshan was well informed and knew that the future third prince's concubine, Lu Xianghan, was a yiksha and jealous. He made up his mind to follow Tsin Che and secretly thought about how to make things easier in the future. Chao Hongdo knew that she was a concubine, and she also wanted a kinder mistress. Otherwise, she would be tortured to death. The two happened to get in touch, and they hit it off immediately and bribed other palace guards to do the next big thing. On this day, Tsin Che had just returned to the courtyard after going to court, when he heard Thuja hurriedly coming to report that Lu Xianghan had fallen into the water and was dying. What's wrong? His heart sank, fearing that something would go wrong in his alliance with Duke Ligua. So he hurried to the harem. When they arrived at Liang Guifei's Quanshan Palace, in the side hall, Lu Xianghan had a white face, wet hair, and was dying, lying unconscious on the bed. What's wrong? Report to the Third Highness. Miss Lu was playing on the Tay Pond and accidentally fell into the water. This is what happened after she was rescued. What? How did you fall into the water? Have you checked? Yuping looked troubled and whispered, Your Majesty is investigating. The problem is that Miss Lu was rescued by the female historian in the Queen's palace. Now, the Queen's intention is to give that female historian to you as your concubine. Is this female history Jia Yuanshan? Return to your highness. That's right. Saving Lu Xianghan was a great achievement. If it were an ordinary female historian, it would be enough to reward her with some property or upgrade her level. But Jia Yuanshan originally entered the palace to be the prince's concubine. What did he lack? What can I reward her with? Shouldn't she just be rewarded with the title of a prince's concubine? It just so happened that the person she saved was the future third prince's concubine, who was also the niece of concubine Liang. She gave her to the third prince as his concubine. Wasn't it just right? Tsin Che held his breath. Even if you want to be a concubine, you have to wait until Miss Lu is well. Otherwise, it won't be considered a great achievement. Exactly. That's what our queen said. But this can only be delayed for a while, you see. Tsin Che waved his hand impatiently. If it doesn't work out, just take her in. But a concubine can still influence her. Can she do anything else? Wait, it seems to be really possible. Jia Yuanshan finally became a concubine. Could it be? Bah. Maybe some wild god is causing trouble again. Could a little woman in the backyard be able to influence the succession of the throne? What a joke. But in this way, it is not too bad to take over Jia Yuanshan. Tell me, don't worry about this. I'll just use it as a decoration in the backyard. It's no big deal. Tsin Che gritted his teeth and admitted the matter. He originally thought that the matter would end there. But who would have expected that the next day, concubine Liang sent him news that Lu Xianghan had a high fever and was afraid that she might not survive. When rushing to Quanshan Palace, Tsin Che was thinking about it. It is estimated that cerebral edema or aspiration pneumonia caused inflammation and caused a high fever that persisted. This life hangs in the balance. TSK. Lu Xianghan drowned in a boat. There was not even a servant on the boat who knew how to swim. He waited until the female historian from the Queen's palace passed by and went into the water herself to rescue the person. Simply incredible. Are you saying no one did anything? Who believes it? If Lu Xianghan dies, will there be any suitable girl from the Ligua family who can marry him and become the third prince's concubine? Will it affect the stability of his cooperation with Liguagua? With a lot of turmoil in his heart, Tsin Che felt the side hall of Quanshan Palace. Lu Xianghan's whole body was convulsing. Her breathing was rapid. Her face was pale, but her cheeks were burning red. Her eyes were turning around uneasily, and she just couldn't wake up. In terms of favorable impressions, Tsin Che liked this face, but his personality really prevented him from falling in love with it. But it is still unbearable to see a little girl in her prime losing her life bit by bit right in front of her eyes. Thinking of this, Tsin Che clicked on the game system to see if there were any drugs that could be used both as medicine and poison to save her life. Unexpectedly, as soon as I opened the game, a pop-up box popped up in front of me. The summoning carrier has been detected. Would you like to spend 1,000,000 taels of silver to summon your butler/concierge into reality? What the hell? Summon carrier? After carefully reading the fine print below, Sin Mingche understood. It turns out that there are two types of summoning: physical summoning and carrier summoning. There was no summoning carrier around him before, so all summons were physical summons by default. If the loyalty value was not enough, he could not be summoned. But now, with such a summoning carrier in front of him, this pop-up window naturally popped up. Yes, this summoning carrier is Lu Xianghan. She is already dead, brain death due to drowning and asphyxiation. Sin Mingche thought a lot in that moment. He thought of the tacit agreement he had secretly reached with Duke Ligua, thinking of Lu Xianghan's arrogant temper, thinking of the pampering given to Lu Xianghan in Duke Li's mansion. I thought of the caring and capable housekeeper in the game home. In the end, he made a choice. The person on the bed slowly opened his eyes. Xianghan, you're finally awake. Concubine Liang let out a sigh of relief. Lu Xianghan was the apple of her brother's eye and her direct daughter. If something happened in her palace, she would be really afraid that her relationship with her brother would be ruined. Now, Lu Xianghan blinked in confusion, and his eyes met Sin Mingche's. The moment the two people's eyes met, a voice sounded in Sin Mingche's mind. "Hello, master. Your butler Lu Qingyu is at your service." "Good guy, is that so?" Sin Mingche quickly gave her instructions in his mind. In short, he should play this identity well. The more realistic it is, the better. "Okay, as ordered." Lu Xianghan suddenly covered his head weakly. Where's this? What's wrong with me?" Concubine Liang was shocked. "Xianghan, what's wrong with you?" Lu Xianghan shook his head weakly. "Aunt, I'm so tired, I feel dizzy." Seeing this, Concubine Liang asked the palace servants to help her lie down, take medicine, and rest. "Good girl, you are still sick. Don't think about anything. Just take good care of yourself." After that, he sent Sin Mingche away again. Okay, go and rest in front. I woke you up in the middle of the night. Fortunately, you are fine. You have to go to court tomorrow. It's important that you don't have enough energy." After leaving Quanshun Palace, Sin Mingche found that he could still talk to Lu Qingyu in his mind. He ventured a test. "Do you have your own consciousness?" "Master is joking. I am your butler." There was a slight smile in his tone. After talking to her for a few more words, Sin Mingche decided to treat her as a living person. After all, Lu Qingyu's performance was too lively. Even if it is a program, it is truly artificial intelligence, not artificial retardation. And with the system's endorsement, it can be guaranteed that Lu Qingyu will always be on his side and will execute his orders without compromise, let alone bully him for his own selfish interests. What's more, Lu Qingyu can do more things for him now that he has a real entity. Sin Mingche couldn't wait to get married and open a house at this time. Not to mention, Lu Qingyu's core and Lu Xianghan's shell are really pleasing to the eye. But the real Lu Xianghan is really dead. Sin Mingche is still determined to find out the cause and effect. Even though Lu Xianghan was not a good person, Sin Mingche still felt sorry that a young girl had returned to the underworld in vain. Asking Lu Xianghan won't lead to anything. After all, she is actually Lu Qingyu now. Then we have to start thinking about motivation and gain. Who would want to kill Lu Xianghan? First, there is the eldest prince and queen. Secondly, there is the second prince. So who is benefiting now? Jia Yuanshan. It is difficult to check the movements of the eldest prince and the second prince, and Jia Yuanshan is now in the queen's palace. No one knows whether she has the queen's signal to do something. Sin Mingche immediately decided to investigate Jia Yuanshan first. Start with Chao Hongdo. This is easy. Just check the correspondence between the two. Chao Hongdo consciously allowed His Highness the Third Prince to see him, and his work became much smoother, but little did he know that it was Sin Mingche who deliberately indulged himself. She couldn't leave the courtyard, and all she could spread was the news that even the maids in the courtyard knew. For example, Miss Lu will be the third prince's concubine in the future. Miss Lu is here again today and lives in the palace of Concubine Liang. So she asked the third prince to go to the harem for dinner, and so on. The latest news is that Lu Xianghan has entered the palace. The correspondence between these two women gave Sin Mingche some insight. 80% of this matter was planned by Jia Yuanshan, perhaps borrowing the queen's help. Quite an honor. Sin Mingche thought mockingly. It makes this future virtuous concubine think so highly of him. The queen probably really wanted to kill someone, and Jia Yuanshan somehow found out about this, intervened in it, and planned a good result for himself. Really thoughtful. Jia Yuanshan was born well, but Sin Mingche was not an old bachelor who had never touched a woman in half his life, nor was he the 20-year-old who had never touched a woman's small hand. As long as he wants, he can have as many plump beauties as he wants, and he doesn't care about this one. What's more, with Jia Yuanshan's temperament, he only wants to win over his parents' family, but the Jia family's foundation is in ruins. In short, a drag. We can't let her be proud. Chao Hongdo is still keeping an eye on her. Food and clothing are in accordance with the rules. Don't miss her. Communications are also monitored. In Sin Mingche's view, Chao Hongdo is the buoy for fishing. As long as she moves, he will know that a fish should be coming. The next day at court, Sin Mingche went to the harem to visit Lu Xianghan. Although the core was replaced, the pain on her body was real. Lu Xianghan was coughing and wheezing, and she still couldn't breathe. Sin Mingche speculated that it was mild pulmonary edema. "Excuse me, Your Highness, the third prince, came to see me, but I'm disappointed. I can't even remember the incident of falling into the water." Lu Xianghan said softly, leaning on the pillow. "There is only one pair of eyes, clear and clear, with a slight smile, and as calm as a bright moon." At the same time, in the dialogue in his mind, Lu Qingyu said, "I wonder how far the master needs me to do it." Sin Mingche said the words to deal with the situation and answered in his mind, "I need a good wife, a wife who can fulfill her role perfectly, and a good partner. At the same time, we must maintain a good relationship with Mr. Li Gua and not reveal anything." Lu Qingyu was silent for a while, seeming to be calculating something. "Master, this requirement is a bit high. I need to increase my salary." Sin Mingche never expected such an answer, and for a moment he was almost dumbfounded. "Jia, you name the price. As long as I have it, you can take whatever amount you want." "Deal." Sin Mingche felt relieved. A good wife and a good wife are not just words. The exchange of favors, socializing in the back house, and exchanging information are all what these ladies have to do. If Lu Xianghan had his original temper, he might not be able to offend everyone. After caring about Lu Xianghan, Sin Mingche was no longer suitable to stay in the harem, so naturally there were internal guards to send him out. As he was walking to the Tay Pond, he met a woman wearing the clothes of a female official. "It's Jia Yuanshan again. I have seen the third highness." Jia Yuanshan was followed only by Bao Qin. He was well-dressed and had a thin layer of makeup on. He was the right age and looked very pretty. But there is another girl at the same age whose fragrance has faded away. Sin Mingche was silent in his heart and said with a smile, "It turns out to be Jia Nushi. I haven't thanked you yet, but you saved my fiancé's life." Jia Yuanshan quickly returned the gift. "It's just my duty. I don't dare to thank His Highness the Third Prince." Sin Mingche's eyes were a little playful. "I heard from my mother that she wants to give you to me." No matter what he thinks, Jia Yuanshan is just a young girl in her prime. How can anyone not blush when hearing this? "Your Highness, be careful what you say. Isn't it true?" Jia Yuanshan's face turned red, and after murmuring for a long time, he said in a low voice, "My little girl has admired His Highness for a long time. If I am lucky enough to serve His Highness, I hope that His Highness will show mercy." A hibiscus dimple, two eyes that make eyes flutter. Sin Mingche smiled softly and walked away. The junior eunuch sent Sin Mingche away, returned to Quanshan Palace, and immediately reported the matter to concubine Liang Guofei. Concubine Liang sneered. "Oh, she does know how to please men. What a beautiful thought. It just so happens that the eldest daughter of Mr. Sun's family didn't say that she should pledge her life to save her life. For me, choose someone with good looks, a gentle personality, and a clear mind. Including Jia Yuanshan and the Chao family, there are 4 in total. It also gives my son a choice. Don't be fooled by Jia Yuanchuan's little tricks. Concubine Liang is indeed a beloved concubine. Once she mentioned it to the emperor, the matter was settled. As Liu Xianghan recovered from his illness and left the palace, the queen gave Jia Yuanshun to Qin Mingxie as her concubine. At the same time, those who entered his backyard were Sun, the eldest daughter of the Sun family, and Xiahan, a beautiful maid selected by concubine Liang from among thousands of people in her palace. Xiahan was originally a second-class maid in Liang Guifei's palace. She had a delicate appearance, a gentle personality, and was very tolerant of others. Regardless of her figure, she looked as graceful as Han Han when she stood there. Including Chao Hongdo, there were 4 people in total, all crowded in the back room. A concubine can take care of a maid. Chao Hongdo lived in the west room. Jia Yuanshun lived in the west room. There was a shared small hall in the middle. Sun lived in the east room, and Xiahan lived in the east room. Just like this, the back room is full, and if there are more people, it can only be shared by 4 people. Let's talk about these princes and grandsons. When they reach their age, their families must prepare several people for them. After all, as you get older, you have more fun. Wouldn't it be worse if you don't prepare food at home and go out to eat it secretly? Qin Mingxie didn't have much interest in women before, but now Liang Guifei didn't prepare anyone for him. This time, I took advantage of this opportunity to prepare the people waiting on the bed. These days, no one would think that a man is keeping himself clean by not sleeping with a concubine before marriage. They would just think, hey, is there something wrong with this man's little brother? Or is it Hao Longyang? Therefore, Qin Mingxie not only had to sleep, but also had to sleep side by side. Otherwise, if he touches this but not that, it will easily send a signal that he is dissatisfied with the people behind them. Chao Hongdo, behind her is her father who is the commander. Sun family, behind him is the left minister of the Ministry of Official Affairs. Jia Yuanshun, behind him are the queen and Jia Mansion. Xiahan, behind him is his mother, concubine Liang. However, after all, these are all beauties, and Qin Mingxie is not a loss either. There were more people in the backyard, and Qin Mingxie pointed out Shui Bai, a 4th-grade intermediary eunuch, to take charge of these people's affairs. Just remember, before your princess comes in, none of these people can have a child. Qin Mingxie's face was half hidden in the shadows, especially that Jia Yuanshun. Replace her Bizi soup with Juezi soup. Don't let her find out. I only want the result, not the process. If something goes wrong, you're the only one asking. Shui Bai hurriedly nodded in agreement. The one who slept with him on the first night was Xiahan, and the one who slept with him on the second night was Chao Hongdo. A few days later, Qin Mingxie was lucky enough to recruit Mr. Sun again. Jia Yuanshun ranked last. In the past 2 days, Jia Yuanshun was still sitting still until Xuanshi was lucky enough to be invited. Before it was his turn, he felt a little panicked. Chao Hongdo, in particular, had a loving personality. He wore the hairpin given by Qin Mingxie the next morning and swaggered through the market, which made Jia Yuanchuan's heart ache. How can His Highness the Third Prince look down on someone like our young lady? Bao Qin felt very sorry for Jia Yuanshun. Jia Yuanshun took hold of Qin's hand and shook his head slowly. Bao Qin, please remember that Thunder Rain Dew is your favor. No matter how good I am in your eyes, His Highness's preference will be the real good thing. Bao Qin has a crying tone. I just feel aggrieved for the young lady. Jia Yuanshun smiled with tears in his eyes. What's the point of grievance? If I don't feel grievance, half of my wish has been fulfilled. The other half is naturally favored and gives birth to a child. A few days later, even the palace people's attitude towards Jia Yuanshun became somewhat contemptuous. She was the last of the 4 concubines to sleep with her, and after such a long time, the Third Highness had not been lucky enough. That day, I took Qin to serve lunch and came back angry. What happened? Girl, they bully people. When I opened the lid, there was only a bowl of rice and 2 vegetables, a stir-fried Chinese cabbage and a dry stir-fried wild rice. Originally, the concubine was supposed to have a meat dish, a vegetable dish, and a soup dish, but Jia Yuanchun's place only had 2 vegetarian dishes. The Sun family's maid said that her girl loved to drink soup these 2 days, so she took away the girl's pheasant mushroom soup. The Chow family's maid said that her girl wanted to make up for it, so she exchanged it for the girl's stir-fried wild rice, amaranth, and egg omelet. Bao Qin's eyes were red. Girl, they're actually like this. Yuan Shun took 2 deep breaths and said softly, let's tolerate them for a while, and wait and see in the future. I will definitely be able to take revenge. Quick, let's eat. After a simple meal, he went to return the dishes and chopsticks with Qin in his arms. Jia Yuanshun sat in the room and had a good time. I saw eunuch Tsubai slowly walking towards the back room with 2 young chamberlains and 2 maids. This Tsubai eunuch is the good news bird in the hearts of their 4 concubines. Once he comes to the door in person, he will inform them that His Highness is going to be lucky today. Eunuch Tsubai stopped in front of Jia Yuanshun's door. The day has finally come. Jia Yuanshun suppressed his excitement and stepped forward to open the door in person. Eunuch Tsubai is here? Well, our family has met concubine Jia. Chuibai smiled. His Royal Highness will be lucky tonight. Concubine Jia, please get ready. Jia Yuanshun quickly put the purse containing small silver ingots into Tsuebai's hand. Congratulations to my father-in-law. The 2 maids were there for the concubine who was going to sleep with her. 2 little eunuchs brought hot water and poured it into the bathtub in the house. The 2 maids put floral dew inside and then asked Jia Yuanshun to take off his clothes and sit in. It took a lot of delicate brushing until the person inside was white and rosy. At this time, Bao Qin came back. He was overjoyed and quickly found clothes for Jia Yuanshun to wear when he was sleeping. Girl, would you like to wear this lotus root red dew fragrant garden embroidered straight sleeve brocade blouse? Pair it with a stone white Guangzhou embroidered antique satin long skirt and smoked satin treasure face pattern cloud toe shoes. Jia Yuanshun pursed his lips and smiled. Take that conch red Rui tassel purse and put on. Cut your hair into a bun with hanging clouds and wear that chiseled marble huashin. After saying that, she let the palace maid apply powder and makeup on her. Her eyes flashed with shyness, joy, and finally ambition settled down. As it got darker, news came from the front yard that His Highness was back. Jia Yuanshun's heart beat faster. Concubine Jia, please come here. Entering the main room, Cin Mingxie was sitting at the main seat, still carrying some moisture from the bath, and the little eunuch in the dining room was serving food. Jia Yuanshun was called here to serve and dine. There are red sleeves that add fragrance, and there are also red sleeves that add vegetables, right? With a beauty by my side, eating seems to taste better. Cin Mingxie has never liked extravagance, which is exactly the opposite of the eldest prince. Therefore, even for a prince, there are only 6 dishes for dinner, 3 meat and 3 vegetables, as well as a pot of soup, a porridge, and a snack. The soup is winter melon and pheasant soup, the porridge is millet and pumpkin porridge, and the snack is long and steamed buns. The vegetarian dishes are stir-fried asparagus, braised eggplant, and shredded pepper and kangkong. The meat dishes are broiled, brocade-coated turtle, and colorful shredded venison. Such a table of dishes is already simple and cannot be eaten less, otherwise it will damage the prince's dignity. Jia Yuanshun washed his hands in the copper basin, took off his bracelets and rings, picked up serving chopsticks, and served Cin Mingxie to eat. This is why rich people in ancient times had to be served by someone to eat. Couldn't you just serve them yourself? It really doesn't work. Like this, the table is full of dishes. If you want to eat the dishes at the other end of the table, do these big shots have to stand up and pick them up by themselves? That's too indecent. At this time, someone needs to serve. If you want to eat, just look at it and put on the plate. At this time, the person who serves needs to have eyes and steady hands. Serving chopsticks are heavy, and there may be some dishes that are difficult to pick up. Just like in the original version of Dream of Red Mansions, in order to amuse Jiamu, Sister Feng and Yuan Yang gave Grandma Lu ivory chopsticks inlaid with gold and asked her to pick up pigeon eggs. It's strange that an untrained person can pick it up, but this is the professional job of servants, and a daughter-in-law also has to serve her mother-in-law in this way. Jia Yuanshun serves Cin Mingxie like this now, and he will have to serve Lu Xianghan like this when he comes in the future. It turns out that Jia Yuanshan was also a pretty eldest lady at home. Now that she has come to suffer this hardship, it is really a big sacrifice, and the goal is not small. Sun Mingxie was at the age when a grown-up would eat me to death. This day was exhausting both physical and mental energy, and he was already hungry, in addition. He had no sympathy for Jia Yuanshan and treated her like a palace maid. By the time he was 80% full and signaled to remove the plate, Jia Yuanshan's wrists were already extremely sore. The young eunuch brought tea to him to rinse his mouth, while Jia Yuanshan stood aside respectfully. Sun Mingxie raised his chin and said, "Printing ink in the study." He wanted to feel Jia Yuanshan's current temperament. Along the way, I saw that she was very respectful and calm, not the kind of person who jumps up and down in love. If she could stay like this, Sun Mingxie would be able to let her live the rest of her life peacefully. Jia Yuanshan quietly polished the ink gently. The dark ink ingots reflected the whiteness of her hands, and her full nails were like pink pearls. The pale yellow candlelight shone on her face, revealing a layer of fine down. Her long eyelashes were hanging down, which was quite endearing. The lotus root red shirt made her skin look like cream. The waist was tied tightly with a silk ribbon, making it look more graceful. Sun Mingxie smiled, put down his pen, and held her wrist. "Okay, have a rest." His arms were very strong, so he reached out and lifted Jia Yuanshan's feet off the ground. Jia Yuanshan exclaimed lowly and climbed tightly onto his arm. "'Tis good girl." The lights flickered, the people waiting in the room quietly retreated, and the curtain on the bed was lowered. The belt is lightly untied, the embroidered shoes fall to the ground, and the hairpin is lying on the pillow. Sun Mingxie has practiced martial arts since he was a child, and his muscles are very strong. Move the delicate Jia Yuanshan back and forth. Poor Jia Yuanshan's first taste of human affairs, it was really the willow waist is arranged, the flower heart is lightly removed, and the peony blooms with dewdrops. But how could she match Sun Mingxie's physical strength? After a while, there were beads of sweat, hair was messy and green, and the tender pistils were fragrant and fragrant, rising and falling, slowly coming. After the rain dispersed and the clouds settled, Sun Mingxie went to wash himself, leaving Jia Yuanshan lying on the soft pillow, his eyebrows furrowed slightly. He was breathing lightly, he was sweating slightly, his waist was sore, and his legs were weak, and he couldn't get up for a while. His Highness, the Third Highness, has had so many troubles with her, so he must have liked her somewhat, right? Jia Yuanshan was recovering his consciousness with his eyes closed when he was suddenly pushed gently. When she opened her eyes, standing in front of her was Sun Mingxie's first-class palace maid, Chunlan, followed by 4 junior palace maids. Chunlan held a bowl of medicine in her hand. Jia Yuanshan's heart suddenly became cold. The smile on Chunlan's face was like a mask. Although she was smiling, the light in her eyes was cold. "Concubine Jia, you don't need me to tell you this rule again, right? Please take medicine." Seeing Jia Yuanshan's hesitation, Chunlan added another sentence. "Could it be that my concubine still wants His Highness to make an exception for you?" Immediately, 2 palace maids helped Jia Yuanshan up, obviously intending to force-feed her without drinking. Jia Yuanshan forced a smile and said, "Sorry to bother Sister Chunlan. Please give me the medicine." She took the medicine bowl and drank the dark medicinal soup in one breath. Her mouth felt sour and bitter, and so did her heart. Seeing Jia Yuanshan's cooperation, several palace maids served him more attentively, bringing him preserved fruits and tea to relieve the medicinal taste in his mouth. "Concubine Jia, based on your status, you're not allowed to stay in His Highness's room. Do you think it's time to go back to your room? I'll help you wash up first." This wash is not only to help her clean her body, but also to wash out all the things left by His Highness. There should not be any left in it, for fear that these concubines will get pregnant before the mistress, breaking the rules, and also let her get pregnant. Sun Mingxie lost his reputation. Jia Yuanshan was treated like this, and all the shyness he felt on the first night was gone. He only felt that his face was burning, and he felt ashamed in his heart. He lowered his head and was sent back to the room. After seeing off the maids, she lay down on the bed, buried her face, and cried. Baoqin was originally happy that his master was finally lucky, but when he saw Jia Yuanshan acting like this, he panicked. "Girl, what's wrong? Don't scare me, girl." Jia Yuanshan cried for a while, sobbing, and told Baoqin about this in a low and shameful voice. Baoqin's face suddenly turned pale. Why is this like this? Are you not letting girls have children? I think it's not just that I'm not allowed to have a baby, it's that none of our concubines are allowed to have a baby. Jia Yuanshan seemed to be crying and laughing. That's right, who am I? I'm just a bed warmer for the man. How can I give birth to the child before the wife? Now, I am no longer the eldest granddaughter of the Jia family in Rongwa Mansion, but the concubine of Jia in the third prince's backyard. Baoqin, do you still remember how our wife took care of the ant in the house? Now it's my turn to be the concubine. As he spoke, he burst into tears again, but he didn't dare to make sound. He just held the handkerchief and covered his mouth, and his tears fell down like broken beads. Girl, I'm wronged. After crying for a long time, Jia Yuanshan slowly calmed down his voice and whispered, "Go and twist a wet wipe for me and apply it on my eyes. I can't let them see the joke tomorrow. No matter what, I will definitely fight for it." The next day, "Concubine Jia, our family has sent you a reward." Suibai brought 2 palace maids and 2 eunuchs, all holding things in their hands. Reward: Concubine Jia, 2 strands of pearl bracelets, a pair of gold-studded mother-of-pearls, and 2 pieces of poplin. Concubine Jia, would you like to thank me for the reward? Jia Yuanshan and Baoqin thanked them before looking at the things on the table. The pearl bracelet is made of pink pearls, and the gold flower mother-of-pearl is inlaid with emerald stones in the center. 1 piece of poplin is autumn color, and the other is lake green. They're all good stuff, and the colors and styles suit her. Jia Yuanshan breathed a sigh of relief. Baoqin said happily, "Congratulations, girl. It seems that His Highness still likes you." With a smile on his face, Jia Yuanshan gently touched the piece of autumn-colored poplin. "It's very good. Hold Qin. Let's make these 2 pieces of cloth quickly. It's the season. Wear Hua Tian too. Let them take a good look." Sun Mingxie carefully ordered the reward. After all, Jia Yuanshan served him very carelessly on the pillow. Even the sister in the building had to pay night wages, right? But what concerned him more today was another thing. It's time for him to get ready for marriage. Although she got married at the age of 16 and opened a house at the same time, it still takes time to follow the 3 books and 6 etiquette. Today is the time to collect taxes. Those who accept the levy also accept the betrothal wealth. Zheng means success. Get the betrothal money first, and then get married. When I was asking for names, Sun Mingxie was busy with the peach blossom temple case and handed it over to the 12 supervisors. But now he has no errands to attend to, and accepting the levy is a big gift. If he wants to give a gift book, he can't justify not showing up. Besides, now that Lu Xianghan has changed his mind, he is no longer so disgusted with her. Besides, Sun Mingxie wanted to know more about how Lu Qingyu was adapting to this shell. To accept the levy, you need to send a betrothal gift. The prince's betrothal gift is not just silver, but also includes jewelry, clothing, various gold and silver utensils, and even a farm. There are a total of 64 units, all of which are filled to the brim with gold and silver. There are 2,000 taels of gold alone and 8,000 taels of silver. The gold and silver were beaten into beautiful little dices, which filled several boxes and even bent the poles. There are also 800 brocades and silks of various colors, all of which are fashionable and colorful. There are also 20 pieces of jade, 2 jade handles, a number of gold and silver utensils, and a number of porcelain. There are all gold and silver dishes and chopsticks, tea buckets, basins, and sets of bone china, sweet white porcelain, pastel, enamel, and dotsai tea sets, which are considered daily necessities. As for wedding cakes, 3 animals, seafood, sugar, wine, tea, sesame seeds, etc., there is no need to go into details. Sun Mingxie rode Zidian at the front of the team, surrounded by several heroic guards, and behind him was a mighty betrothal team, swaggering all the way through the city to the Duke Ligua's mansion. They are also waiting in the Duke Ligua's mansion. His Royal Highness has left the palace. His Royal Highness is already on the main street. His Royal Highness has arrived at Pingan Street. His Royal Highness the Third has arrived in front of the mansion. Duke Ligua smiled and stroked his beard and ordered his servants, "Open the door, quickly. Come on, let's go and greet him together." Along the way, Sin Mingxie attracted the attention of others. "Is this His Highness the Third Prince? His Royal Highness is so handsome. Tiske, my waist and legs are strong, my posture is straight, my appearance is not bad, but it's a pity that this is settled. Bah, this is His Highness the Prince. Why, with a girl like yours, can she still be a princess? That's right, a pheasant is not worthy of a phoenix. His Highness the Third Highness has chosen Miss Sun from Duke Ligua's residence. She is a person of gold and jade, so she is worthy of His Highness. Hey, I'm just dreaming, can't I? You don't know that the case of missing a girl in Beijing was solved by His Highness the Third Prince. Huh, is it? I heard that originally Jing Zhaoyin wanted to close the case hastily. Who would have expected that His Highness the Third Highness felt that something was wrong? So he got to the bottom of it and caught the real culprit. Hey, Your Highness is really responsible. No, good people are here. There was a lot of discussion. When he arrived at the gate of Duke Ligua's mansion, Sin Mingxie dismounted his horse and carried the betrothal gift in behind him one by one. The servants of the family set off thousands of long firecrackers at the door, carried out several large baskets of copper coins, and scattered them among the people. The people received the money noisily and kept saying auspicious words. The scene was very lively. I've seen the Third Highness. After seeing the ceremony, both parties went inside again. Sin Mingxie delivered a speech and said, "With the importance of husband and wife, I would like to attend the ceremony at the Duke Hui Li's house. If you have any money that is not shameful, please accept it." Duke Ligua said, "Thank you for Your Highness. I will not give up on you. I am so generous to you, but I dare not to accept it." The two sides bowed again, exchanged letters, and then sat down to talk. "I wonder how Miss Lu is doing lately? Ever since we left the palace, my mother misses her very much and feels very apologetic." Prince Liguagong said hurriedly, "My daughter is much better now. She just needs to take medicine to nurse herself back to health." The men in the front are saying this, while the women in the back are looking at the betrothal gifts. "Xianghan, look, how good are these pieces of jade? I'm afraid your aunt put in these pieces on a special trip. They're great things." Princess Ligua pointed at the open box and said to Lu Xianghan with a smile, "The palace still values you, so don't be so petty." Lu Qingyu smiled slightly. "Look what Mom said. Why am I having a tantrum again?" Concubine Li Guogong patted her hand and comforted her. "That's good. Come, follow your mother to meet the guests. But cheer up, don't let them see the joke. It is a big event for His Highness the Third Highness to accept the levy. Naturally, many guests and friends will be invited to watch the ceremony. The men in charge of each family are naturally entertained by the men in front, while the women are entertained by them." After arriving at the scene, Lu Qingyu looked around and was attracted by a woman. The little woman was dressed in brilliant embroidery, like a concubine or a fairy. She had a pair of triangular red phoenix eyes and two curved willow leaf eyebrows. She was slender and had a coquettish physique. Her pink face was full of spring power, but her red lips were not open to smile. "Smell first." Lu Qingyu stepped forward slowly and asked with a smile, "Who is your sister-in-law? I have never seen her before." Someone next to him laughed and said, "You shouldn't have known each other. This is the niece of Mr. Wang's family, the governor of Beijing. He has been raising it under his knees. He married the eldest son and grandson of Ronghua Mansion a few days ago. He is called Jiao Yan. She is the sister-in-law of the Jia family. My sister has met her here. I've met Sister Lu." Lu Qingyu stepped forward, took Wang Shifeng's hand, and said with a smile, "I don't know why. As soon as I saw this little sister-in-law, I felt that I was in love with you. I just wish we had just met today, otherwise we would have to do it early. Friends." Wang Shifeng has a bright personality and immediately gets off her back when she sees this. As soon as my sister came, I caught my attention and thought, where did this fairy daughter come from? She actually pushed me into the mud. Lu Qingyu smiled. I didn't expect it. I am really flattered to have such a good sister-in-law praise me today. When I saw my sister-in-law today, I felt familiar, as if I had seen her before. I guess it was fate. The two of them were chatting and laughing, and seemed to be very happy with each other. Sister Feng didn't expect things to go so smoothly. A few days ago, the Jia family received news that Jia Yuanshan became the concubine of His Highness III. The future mistress of the third prince's mansion will be Lu Xianghan, and Jia Yuanshan will make a living under her in the future. Coincidentally, Zhao Yin and Sin Mingche had a little affection for each other again. This time, Duke Li's mansion also sent a message to Zhao Yin to invite him. Wang Shifeng accepted the family's request and came to find out about Lu Xianghan. Before leaving, Mrs. Wang and Jia Mu repeatedly told Wang Shifeng to see how Lu Xianghan behaved before planning for the future. And because Lu Qingyu was the housekeeper in the game home, he was summoned to reality by Sin Mingche, so he could understand Sin Mingche's feelings. She felt that Sin Mingche seemed to be a little curious about several women in the Jia family, so she took the initiative to contact Wang Shifeng so that she would have something to report to Sin Mingche. Wang Shifeng has always had an all-round personality. She was not familiar with the ladies and grandmothers around her before, so it was not easy for her to express herself. Now that Lu Qingyu had set up a platform for her, Wang Shifeng immediately got on board, and the scene was filled with laughter and joy. Wang Shifeng deliberately held Lu Qingyu in her hands and carefully observed her reaction, trying to figure out what kind of person she was. But Lu Qingyu remained unmoved and responded with a smile, which made Wang Shifeng puzzled for a moment. The two chatted and laughed, going back and forth, and were very harmonious. They also agreed to meet together next time. Several older girls and younger wives chatting and laughing together, with their fragrant clothes and beautiful hair on their temples, which is quite a sight to see. Over there, Mrs. Li Guogong, the crown prince, greeted the wives of each family. Seeing that her daughter was also trying to get both sides, she was relieved. After the banquet, there was a small show. Although men and women were seated separately, there was only a stream of water between men and women, and a potted plant was used as a partition, so the two sides were still vaguely visible. In the garden pavilion, Sin Mingche finally met his future wife. There were only two of them in the pavilion, and the attendants were guarding it from a distance. Because it is a pavilion in the middle of the lake, it is open on all sides and has an unobstructed view. The purpose of the woman's family was to prevent the unmarried couple from causing any scandal, and the two people chatting were to prevent being eavesdropped. Your Majesty, you have worked hard today. Lu Qingyu poured a cup of tea for Sin Mingche. It's hard work for you too. Sin Mingche's words had a double meaning. Lu Qingyu smiled slightly. Your Highness seems to be very interested in the Jia family. Oh, I'll tell you the truth, Your Highness, even if you haven't communicated with me. Lu Qingyu pointed to his head, indicating communication in his brain. But I can still feel your preferences and some tendencies. Sin Mingche was shocked at first, and then quickly calmed down. This is not Lu Xianghan, but Lu Qingyu, the housekeeper of his game home, who is definitely on his side. It's a good thing that the two of them have the same mind. Yes, I'm very interested in the entire Jia family. Lu Qingyu didn't ask the reason, just smiled and said, Then I am paying attention to your Highness. Today I happened to meet the grandson's daughter-in-law of the eldest daughter-in-law of Rongguo Mansion. She is from the Wang family, and her nickname is Brother Feng. Is your Highness interested? Oh, Lu Qingyu wiped the corners of his lips with a handkerchief unhurriedly. This little sister-in-law, whose scientific name is Wang Shifeng, is lively, smart, and charming, but she is too strong-tempered, and the husband may not be able to tame her. If your Highness wants to see, Lu Qingyu signaled Sin Mingche to open a game. I received an email in the game, and it turned out to be a video of Lu Qingyu meeting Wang Shifeng. Wang Shifeng is really good-looking and in good shape, with a charming smile, a passionate look, and a spicy and crisp character. although the person is beautiful. But thinking of Wang Shifeng's exploitation and litigation in the original work, Sun Mingche must admit that Lu Qingyu's judgment of Wang Shifeng was correct. Wang Shifeng had not read any books, but she could only recognize a few words and read an account book. Uncultured but ambitious, her natal family and husband's family gave her a platform to display her ambitions. The consequences are terrible. Moreover, the women of the Wang family seemed to have such a virtue. Wang Shifeng's method of lending money was inherited from her aunt, Mrs. Wang. TSK, TSK, TSK. What kind of sect is this Wang family that specializes in such femme fatale? If you're interested, you can go to Jia's house. Sun Mingche warned. Help me also see what the Jia family is like now. Lu Qingyu responded with a smile. Sun Mingche is a grown man, and it is always inconvenient to enter the back house, but it is different for Lu Qingyu. If Lu Qingyu goes to the Jia family, everyone from top to bottom of the Jia family will greet him. The Jia family in dream of red mansions. Sun Mingche was still very interested. The two of them were chatting. Looking from a distance, Sun Mingche and Lu Xianghan were chatting happily. They looked like a perfect couple. Over there, Wang Shifeng left Duke Ligua's mansion, got on the carriage, immediately leaned on the cushion, and breathed a long sigh of relief. My heavenly ancestor! But I'm exhausted. Pinger was waiting on the side with tea and water. Hearing this, he smiled and said, I think Grandma is having a lot of fun. Why are you still tired? Wang Shifeng sighed. All of them are human sperm. If I don't pay attention, if someone sees it, I will be laughed at behind my back until next year. Grandma is so patient. Isn't it easy to handle this? Pinger flattered. However, Miss Lu from Duke Li's residence seems to have a good rapport with Grandma. Wang Shifeng snorted. Then why are you so close to me? You think our mistress and ancestor want to find out about others, but they don't want to find out about us. Miss Lu, she talks and laughs, but she is immovable and has no leaks. Do you think she will be easy to deal with? Pinger turned his head and thought for a while. Yes, I'm afraid Miss Lu also knows the things we can find out. Just like before Grandma got married, didn't she find out who lived in the second master's room? Wang Shifeng laughed and spat. Is it okay to say this? Be careful I pinch your mouth. Pinger hurriedly smiled and said, This is also our private conversation, and no outsiders know it. If you can't say a few words of truth in front of Grandma, how will you live your life? Wang Shifeng sighed leisurely and leaned on the pillow. Okay, help me think about it, how to talk to the old lady and Madam when we go back. Before leaving, the old lady and Madam gave me countless instructions. I'm afraid they can't rest assured. Pinger clasped his hands and smiled and said, Grandma, didn't Miss Lu say she wanted to come to our house to play? Just find an opportunity and leave a message for her. By the time Sister Feng returned to Rongwa Mansion and paid a visit to Jiamu, she had already put on a smiling face, making people feel happy just by looking at her. I met my ancestors. My granddaughter-in-law has gained a lot of knowledge during this trip. I was about to tell my ancestors and ask my ancestors to teach me. Jiamu laughed and spat. You monkey, you are making trouble again. Come on, sit down and tell us, how are you today? Wang Shifeng immediately got up and talked about everything that happened today. From the scenery of Duke Li's mansion, to the lively scenes during the recruitment ceremony, to the rich betrothal gifts, as well as the meeting and conversation with Miss Lu, I told Jiamu in detail, and the story was lively, interesting, and vivid. Jiamu listened happily, with a twinkle in her eye. According to what you say, Miss Lu must be a lively, smart, and good person. If she has some free time, I should post a message and invite her to come and play at home. Exactly, such a good-looking person, but he also has such a good appearance. When I saw him, I couldn't help but fall in love with him. Wang Shifeng said quickly. Jiamu and Wang Shifeng agreed on a time to invite Miss Lu, and then she said she was tired and asked her to play by herself. When Wang Shifeng left, Jiamu had a string of bracelets in her hands, eyes half closed, and many thoughts going through her mind. To say that a girl is lively, smart, and well-behaved means that she is not soft-tempered but can handle things, even if she can't get the sand out of her eyes. Just look at how Wang Shifeng sent away the few girls who lived with him in Jialian's house, and none of them were left. If Miss Liu, the future third prince's concubine, has such a character, Yuan Chuan's future will be in doubt. Not to mention, Miss Liu has a good life. This man always has to be soft-spoken towards beauties. Although Yuan Chun is also born with beauty, it is the kind of graceful and majestic beauty this main room may not be able to accommodate. Alas, worry. If it weren't for the fact that the men of the Jia family were really unsatisfactory, why would they want their daughter to risk her life to fight for her future? The Jia family wanted to find out Miss Liu's background. It happened that Miss Liu also agreed to Xin Mingche's request and wanted to have more contact with everyone in the Jia family. The two parties hit it off immediately and agreed on time. It was already autumn when Lu Qingyu went to Jia Mansion. The sweet-scented osmanthus is in bloom, the chrysanthemums are fragrant, and the weather is neither cold nor hot, so it's a good time. When Lu Qingyu arrived at the Jia Mansion, he naturally had to visit his elders first. Jia Mu, Mrs. Wang, and Yushi from Dongfu sat at the top and asked Wang Shifeng and Qin Keqing to go to the second door to welcome Miss Liu in. After a while, there was laughter and laughter outside, and a slender girl walked in the door with a smile on her face. Looking closely, I saw her gold-woven lotus brocade wide-sleeve gown, chest-length lake-colored skirt with 4 torn and 3 pleats, and 2 embroidered shoe tips inlaid with pearls exposed under the skirt. Her hair was combed into a bun, wearing a coral huasheng, embellished with woven silk soft jade mother-in-law, a pair of woven gold palace lantern pendants hanging from her ears, and a pair of gold-stitched red agate bracelets on her wrists. Looking at the girl's face again, she has a small face with crescent moon eyebrows, a pair of charming peach blossom eyes, a drop nose, and petal lips. She is naturally graceful and graceful. When she comes towards her, she looks like a spring breeze blowing on her face and flowers in bloom. It makes everything pale. Mother Jia and Mrs. Wang were secretly shocked. With such a beautiful woman as his wife, how could His Highness see any other flowers in his eyes? What can Yuan Chun do? I've met the old lady, madam. Lu Qingyu saw the ceremony, took Wang Shifeng and Qin Keqing's hands, and said earnestly, "Old lady, you are so lucky. These grandsons, daughters-in-law, nephews, grandnephews, and grandnephews are all such outstanding people. I used to have little knowledge and thought I was the most popular person in the world. Who would have thought that there are people out there who can be so beautiful and beautiful? My daughter's family is all in your hometown." Jia's mother was a very particular person. From the girl to the mother-in-law, there was no one who was not beautiful. When I met Miss Liu, even though I was wary, I couldn't say a bad word about her. Not to mention that she praised her family both inside and outside her words. Yin smiled and said, "If you like it, big girl, just come and play often. You don't have to be bored in the hall with old haters like me. You little ones, just go play in the garden." Naturally, this treat cannot be held in the hall. So what's the point? Therefore, the Jia family invited Miss Liu to come, and the excuse was that the family got 2 pots of good chrysanthemums and a basket of good crabs from the village. My family is not interested. I am destined to have Miss Liu, so I specially invited her to come and enjoy them together. A small banquet was placed on the waterside pavilion in the garden. This waterside pavilion is covered in the pool, with windows on all sides and winding corridors on the left and right. It also connects to the shore across the water, and there is a zigzag bamboo bridge behind it. The 2 sweet-scented osmanthus flowers bloomed beautifully at the foot of the hillside. The water in the river was clear, and the scenery was beautiful. As soon as I entered the pavilion, I saw 2 bamboo tables placed outside the railing. One had cups, chopsticks, and wine utensils on it, and the other had teaspoons, tea bowls, and various tea utensils. There are 2 or 3 girls over there fanning the stove to make tea, and here there are several other girls fanning the stove to heat the wine. Sister Feng, Keqing, and Miss Liu each sat down and had hot tea brought to them. Lu Qingyu leaned over the window sill, pinched some gouet roux, and threw it into the water, causing the fish to come up and chatter. Then he looked back and said with a smile, "Your home is really a good place. No wonder you can raise such an iconic character." This statement actually means something. Sister Feng quickly flattered her. If we talk about symbols, who is more iconic than Sister? When I met the girl today, even the ancestors in our house noticed her. Lu Qingyu patted the sweet-scented osmanthus in the palm of her hand, picked up the tea bowl, and took a sip. The old lady is just being polite to me. I haven't seen any beauty like her, so who am I? The two of them were busy complimenting each other, and then talked about some interesting things in the boudoir. After a while, the crabs were cooked. Sister Feng ordered, "Don't bring too many crabs. Keep them in the steamer. Bring 10 crabs and eat them before taking them out." He also ordered a pot of wine, soaked in albizia flowers to be boiled. I was afraid that the crabs would get cold after eating them, so I wanted to use the hot wine to warm them up. The little girls were also asked to fetch mung bean noodles, smoked with chrysanthemum leaves and osmanthus stamens in preparation for washing their hands. Sister Feng took it personally and wanted to give it to Miss Lu. Lu Qingyu hurriedly replied, "I'll eat it myself. No one needs to give in." Then he picked up the 8 silver crabs and took apart the crabs himself. After taking it apart, the crab roe and crab meat piled up into a small peak in the bowl, but the crab shell could be put back together as it was. Lu Qingyu called for vinegar again, mixed some sugar and minced ginger, and dipped it in crab meat. Sister Feng and Kuqing both laughed and said, "Young girl has such a clever hand and a clever mind." After that, he took action himself, trying to eat the crabs and put them back into their shells, but he couldn't get it right. Qin Kuqing hurriedly said, "Good girl, please teach me a lesson so that I can respect the elders of our family." Lu Qingyu gave some pointers on the techniques and said casually, "My taste is the same as His Highness's. We both like these fresh and watery ones. We can eat them together in the future." Wang Shifeng was stunned for a moment, then immediately smiled and said, "Good girl. Now you're thinking about your husband-in-law's taste. You are not ashamed to be ashamed." Lu Qingyu made a mistake and begged for mercy. "Good sister-in-law, I made a mistake in saying this. Sister-in-law, please forgive me. Then I will punish you and teach us how to eat these crabs so that we can eat them as elegantly as you do." What's so difficult about this? A few people laughed and ate a few crabs, poured hot wine, and each drank a glass. Wang Shifeng asked someone to bring the chrysanthemums up. One pot is the jade pot of spring, the other is the West Lake Luyu, and the other is a 10-foot-long hanging curtain. The jade pot is as white as jade in spring, with traces of rose red mixed in, resembling a lotus, surrounding a little yellow pistil in the middle. The West Lake willow moon flower is light yellow, with a touch of light green in the center, which corresponds to the word willow moon. The 10-foot hanging curtain flower, it opens like a waterfall, is pink and white in color, and the flower center is not exposed. Just like a waterfall flying down, majestic. There's also a basin of residual snow, which is even more beautiful. What a beautiful flower. Lu Qingyu looked at it and praised it. A few people admired the flowers and ate some tea and fruits, and it was getting late in the evening. Sister Feng returned to the room, leaned back on the pillow, and asked Ping'er to beat her legs with a small wooden hammer. After a while, he suddenly smiled. "This eldest girl from the Lu family is trying to show off to us." Ping'er hurriedly asked, "How do you say this?" Sister Feng pouted. "Look at what she's wearing today. They're all pure red, such as agate and coral. What does this mean?" Ping'er blinked and whispered, "I'm afraid it's for the sake of righteousness, right? Isn't that true? Who can wear such a bright red except the wife of the bride? And what's more, this is about our old lady, madam. She is the bride, and we don't deserve to use the name of His Highness outside." "Headache," Sister Feng sneered and said again. "And that she and her future husband eat together." "Who is her future husband? Isn't he the third highness?" "The two of them eat together. They're a serious couple. Our eldest girl, put it in front of her. It's nothing." Ping'er remained silent. Wang Shifeng thought about it and sighed again. "The eldest girl in our family is in the hands of such a mistress. I think she's hanging." Sister Feng and Heppinger were talking privately here, and over there, Mrs. Wang and Mother Jiao were also worried about this matter. "He is really a smart person." Jiao Mu sighed and praised. Our family must be on good terms with Miss Lu from now on. Don't be shortchanged if you have 3 birthdays and 2 birthdays." Mrs. Wang didn't understand what she meant, but she even said with a smile, "We Yuan-Chun are also members of His Highness the Third Highness, so we will naturally have a good relationship with Miss Lu in the future." Jia Mu glanced at her. "You also know that your girl will live under her in the future. Why don't you just be flattering at this time and wait for her to put on your girl's shoes?" Mrs. Wang muttered, "No, that's not the case, right? After all, I'm also her elder. How can I? Besides, Yuan-Chuan's character and appearance are not afraid of being disliked by His Highness. With His Highness's favor, what can she do?" Jia Mu snorted. "Think about your aunt in the house." "No, that's not the case, right? What do you think? My daughter-in-law knows." Mrs. Wang's heart felt like a knife when she thought that her darling Yuan-Chun would have to serve tea to the newly arrived girl, hold concubine ceremony, and establish a good relationship with her family. What's more worrying is that even if she prefers her own daughter in her heart, Mrs. Wang cannot go against her conscience and say that Miss Lu is not as beautiful as Yuan-Chun. Besides, the recruitment has already been accepted, and there are not many days left until the application period and the personal welcome. Traditionally, when His Highness the Prince gets married, in addition to a main concubine, the royal family will also give 2 side concubines. The future will be 3 big mountains that will weigh on her head. How can this make Mrs. Wang not worried? Think again about Jia Zhu, who was a scholar but died young, and Bao Yu, who was raised by her mother-in-law Jia Mu, and think about the empty knees she has now. Mrs. Wang couldn't help but feel sad, and she knelt down without mentioning the sutra. On the other end, Lu Qingyu left the Jia family and sent what he had seen to Sun Mingxie. Sun Mingxie looked at it and was a little surprised. "I originally thought that Qin Keqing was the legacy of one of his prince brothers, but her age didn't match up. She seems to be really gentle and amiable, and her appearance is good. It's a pity that she was not lucky enough to end up in a big muddy pond like Ning Mansion, with an old father-in-law like Jia Zhun and a mother-in-law like Yu Shi, who pretends to be deaf and mute, and her husband Jia Rong, who is not at all rigid." But Sun Mingxie just sighed. But a woman was not worthy of him going to war. As the days passed, Sun Mingxie gradually became familiar with the operation of everything in the court and gradually attracted some people. The emperor often asked him to speak. This really makes the eldest prince and second prince extremely jealous. As long as it is a suggestion put forward by Sun Mingxie, they will definitely oppose it, no matter whether it is a good idea or not. It turns out that they only look at their stance and not right or wrong. This is the harm caused by party strife. And no matter what opinions the other party puts forward, the 2 parties are bound to come into conflict, making the whole court as noisy as a wet market. The emperor always had to take action to suppress everything. At the end of the year, officials were transferred. Sun Mingxie suddenly learned that his half-master, Lin Ruhai, was going to be transferred to Yangzhou as the magistrate of Yangzhou Prefecture and also the salt inspector. This salt inspector was just a 7th-rank official. Although his official position was small, he had great power and could control the salt merchants throughout Yangzhou. The magistrate of Yangzhou is a high-ranking official and can be regarded as a high-ranking official. Yangzhou Prefecture governs Jiangdu County, governs 3 counties, and controls 3 states. The magistrate is an official of the 4th rank. For a superior government like Yangzhou Prefecture, the official position must be promoted to a half rank. Not to mention that he also held the position of salt patrol censor. The emperor placed Lin Ruhai in this position, and it was obvious that he was entrusting her with an important task and making her his confidant. As long as Lin Ruhai maintains his position in this position, his future return to Beijing will definitely lead to him joining the cabinet to worship the prime minister. So although it is an external promotion, it is a real promotion. Naturally, Sun Mingxie wanted to come to celebrate. Jia Ming gave birth to a little son to Lin Ruhai last year. Because he was weak after birth, he couldn't do anything for 3 full moons. He only let the family have a banquet to celebrate. Sun Mingxie actually sent a congratulatory gift. But thinking about the words in the original text of Red Mansion, Lin Ruhai's son would not live to be 3 years old. I'm afraid something happened when we went to Yangzhou with a bumpy ride, right? Thinking of this, Sin Mingxie packed a few bottles of pills he made and prepared to give them to Lin Ruhai to see if he could save his little son's life. Well, after all, Lin Ruhai had a half-teacher relationship with him, so it would be good if he could do something. I have seen your highness. Lin Ruhai personally welcomed Sin Mingxie. The emperor's order is very urgent. I'm afraid I won't be able to attend his highness's wedding in time. I'm really sorry. Sin Mingxie said quickly. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Mr. Lin, you are traveling all the way in winter, but you still need to take your family with you? When sailing in winter, the water vapor is cold, which may not be good for the children. Lin Ruhai smiled bitterly and said, My wife takes the child and takes a step slowly, but there's a limit to how slow you can go. Fortunately, my family's ancestral home is in Gusu, which is very close to Yangzhou. It's a good time to go to worship my ancestors. After hearing this, Sin Mingxie hurriedly presented a filigree box. Sir, I'm afraid it won't be a few years before we see you again. It's definitely not easy to travel this way. I've prepared some medicine here, so I'd better take it with you, sir. I just hope sir won't need these. The two were polite for a while. Then Lin Ruhai waved to his servant to bring over a gift list and handed it to Sin Mingxie himself. Your Highness, I am afraid that no one in my family will be able to attend your wedding, so I would like to offer you a token of gratitude. Please don't blame me. The red gift list is full of things. It cannot be said to be a small gift, but it is also very useful for celebrating the wedding of His Highness. Thank you, sir. The two of them were polite for a while, because Lin Ruhai had to pack his luggage and prepare to travel, so Sin Mingxie couldn't stay longer, so he said goodbye and left. Time flies by, and soon it will be time to ask for your invitation, and then it will be time to welcome you in person. The address of the third prince's mansion has also been chosen in advance. There are 7 entrances in front and back, across the courtyard with things, and there is a large garden at the back. After all, it is the size of the prince's mansion, which is larger than the Jiao mansion. What's even better is that Sin Mingxie's prince's mansion is only 1 street away from Rongning's second mansion, so they could be considered neighbors. The location is good, the area is large, and the decoration is exquisite, but it all follows the rules. How you want to decorate the inside will have to be discussed after you move in. The servants of Duke Ligua's mansion have already gone to measure and lay out the rooms. As a princess, she naturally lives in the main room. At that time, they will still get married in the palace, and they will move to the palace after returning home. Similarly, Sin Mingxie can also summon more people from the game into reality. Sin Mingxie had already exchanged an accounting room first and supervised the construction of the prince's palace together with the internal supervisor in his palace. After all, corruption in the 12th prison is a common practice. Sin Mingxie is still young and has no intention of going against the convention. However, he cannot let them feel that he is too easy to bully and his tricks are too shady. When the time comes, he will still have to repair it by himself when he moves in. Wouldn't the compensation be in vain? A person with little martial arts skills, like an accountant, does not need Songlong Tai to hire him. He only needs to deliver silver on time as a reward. Moreover, I don't know if this accounting room is a game system. The accounting is almost as fast as a computer. The accounting is done using the double-entry accounting method, which is fast and accurate. He glanced at it, and the data came out. An hour later, a neat account book was ready. IT makes people wonder if it was printed out by a computer. It is so fast and good. It's simply not too cost-effective. You know, even in modern times, ordinary small businesses have to find their own accountants to prevent problems. In ancient times, corruption and deception were even more serious. With such an accounting room, how much trouble can be saved and how many moths can be caught out? It is equally important to increase revenue and reduce expenditure. The money you save is as valuable an asset as the money you earn, not to mention the assets taken out of the rat's nest. Awesome. After visiting his new home, Sin Mingxie was in a happy mood when he returned to the palace. Anyone who has such a big yard can't help but be happy. The wedding day has finally arrived. The night before the wedding, it snowed all night. The white snow on the road was a foot deep. The 12 supervisors quickly ordered people to clear the way and sweep out the streets that would be used today as quickly as possible. There was a vast expanse of whiteness between the sky and the earth. Sin Ming-che was being served and dressed, but his eyes were staring at the red plum blossoms in the garden. Hongmei is an old plum tree with twisted and knotted branches. The people in prison didn't know how they managed to make the tree bloom on these 2 days. The flowers on the tree are as red as fire, and the fragrance is faint, so beautiful. Originally, the prince did not need to welcome his wife in person, but in order to show his solemnity, Sin Ming-che decided to go there himself. Fortunately, when we woke up in the morning, the wind stopped and the snow cleared, and in the afternoon, the sun shone brightly, which turned out to be a fine weather. Those who went together to welcome her were all good sons and daughters selected by the emperor himself from various families. They all had broad shoulders, thin waists, and long legs, wore brocade hats and mink fur coats, and wore red clothes. They were handsome and full of energy. But even if there are so many outstanding sons and daughters, they can only reflect Sin Mingche's style even more. Sin Mingche wears a brocade official on his head, a sable cloak with a red dragon and phoenix pattern on the outside, and a red brocade dress underneath. He rides a tall horse. He is tall and muscular, with powdered face and vermilion lips. The horse has a carved saddle and stands out from the crowd. She is the beauty of Mozhang. His Royal Highness is so handsome. No, what a graceful person. Sanlang Ruyu. It looks even more handsome when paired with red clothes. Hey, do you know which family the Third Highness chose for his concubine? Seems to be. The onlookers were chatting. At the same time, in the palace. Let him marry and become the eldest daughter of the Liu family. The queen gritted her teeth. The emperor really dotes on him. Even his concubines are personally selected from good families. The eldest prince, Sin Mingyuan, also had a gloomy face. Mother, today is a good day for the third brother. We can't let anyone see the flaws, otherwise we will be criticized again. The queen clutched the clothes on her chest. How can you not be angry at me? Why has your father ever cared so much about you? Is it possible that he really likes the third child? Why? You are obviously the eldest son. Sin Mingyuan endured it again and again, and then whispered, Mother, please be patient and don't be impatient. Father has already sent me an errand. He is just listening to the government. We still have a chance. The queen rubbed her brows irritably. You honor. I think you might as well accept that girl from the Zhen family. The old lady of the Zhen family has a deep relationship with your father. Her son Jiningjia is also a figure. Now he has become a weaver in Jiangning. Marrying her daughter as a concubine is considered a good relationship. The prince originally had one main concubine, 4 side concubines, and 8 concubines. These were all worthy of being included in the royal family tree, and were not ordinary concubines. When a prince gets married, there is only one main concubine and 2 concubines. The rest depends on who has merit, or is liked by the prince, or has a good background, so that the prince himself can apply for a title for him. Sin Mingyuan still had 2 vacant positions for his concubines at this time, just to win over the officials in the court. He thought for a moment, then gritted his teeth and said, Excuse me, mother, go and say good things to that old woman. The queen sighed slightly. You are the only son. I don't think about you, but who else can I think about? That's all, go ahead. The third child will be back soon. Besides, Sin Mingche's personal welcome indeed gave Duke Ligua a great deal of face. There are now 3 princes getting married, but he is the only one who came to welcome the bride in person. Not to mention, Sin Mingche has a slender figure, a handsome face, an excellent birth, and is the son of a dragon and a phoenix grandson. When the guests saw it, they all felt that the married granddaughter of Duke Ligua's family not only did not pay compensation, but also made a lot of money. Congratulations, congratulations. Haha, the same joy. This is a good home for you. Isn't that right? Among all the girls, she is the one that my husband and I are most worried about. Now that I have married His Highness, I can forget all my worries. Sin Mingche's companions are all here today, but Lu Buahong is the master of his mother's family today, while Xie and Zhongzhou are the groomsmen who followed Sin Mingche. After all, He was a prince, and the people who blocked the door didn't dare to stop him harshly, but they let him in willingly. It is very easy for Mingche to compose poetry when applying makeup. Shy and unwilling to get off the dressing table, the maid rings Jiuzi Chai. Send a message to the tired makeup man. Lightly apply vermilion powder to learn how to be lazy. Okay, come again. 10 steps of singing and dancing resounded in the blue sky. Yin Zhuang was powerless and stayed away all night. I am ashamed to let Shuangdai try on others and leave it to Zhang Lang to describe it later. Bride, please hurry up. That's right. Bride, hurry up. Don't make the husband wait in a hurry. It seems that you are not sincere enough. Your Highness, how about I write a song for you? Ashamed to wear a hat by the bright window, wearing a precious mirror that shines darkly. I hate the crows and magpies coming to make noise with each other, so I get off the elephant bed in silence. As expected, she came out after being called upon. 2 women supported Miss Liu and walked out with graceful steps. The red clothes are like fire, embroidered with gold thread, and the dragon and phoenix patterns on the hijab are lifelike. This is his future wife. Invite the bride to get on the sedan chair. Liu Buohong carried the newlyweds on his back, walked step by step to the sedan chair, and sent her in steadily. Your Highness, treat her well. Liu Buohong said softly. You will live up to your trust. Sun Mingche replied solemnly. With the shouts of the inner prison and the sound of firecrackers, a sedan with dragon and phoenix makeup carried by 8 people followed Sun Mingche's horse, followed by 120 dowries in a mighty manner. The servants who carried the dowry were all wearing red clothes, and each dowry was tied with red silk flowers. It could be said that they were full of joy. The further the procession went, the more respect it gained. The 12 prisoners had already planned a thoroughfare for Sun Mingche's procession to ensure that the distance was enough so that most of the people in the capital could see the excitement of the prince's wedding. Scene. Firecrackers were set off along the street, and the eunuchs following the procession carried large baskets of copper coins wrapped in red paper and scattered them toward the roadside. Wherever the voice of saying auspicious words is louder, say more auspicious words to that side. The journey was lively and full of laughter, and finally we arrived at the palace gate again. Except for the emperor, the princes can only walk through the main entrance of the palace once when they are getting married. The floor of gold mud bricks, the steps of white marble, and the 9 dragons holding beads carved from a whole piece of white marble. Sun Mingche glanced at the main hall from a distance, and the desire in his heart became even stronger. One day, I will go on that road. One day, I want to sit in that hall. The servants who carried the dowry went directly to the newly renovated 3rd prince's mansion, and only the sedan chair followed into the palace. The newlyweds in the sedan were helped out of the sedan by the nuns in the palace, with a bright red carpet under their feet. The bride's feet cannot touch the ground. Worship the heavens and the earth. Second, worship High Hall. Happy husband and wife. The emperor and the empress sat in a high place and accepted the worship of the newlyweds. The emperor was smiling all over his face, and his expression was a little melancholy, but the queen's smiling face is like a mask. It looks okay at first glance, but upon closer inspection, it looks horribly fake. After bowing to heaven and earth, Lu Qingyu was sent to sit in the tent, while Sun Mingche was in front to receive various guests and friends who came to congratulate him, including his brother. The eldest prince and the second prince were already able to drink, and they drank him in unison. However, Sun Mingche had internal strength to protect his body, and the ancient wine, no matter how strong it was, couldn't be that strong. So in the end, the 2 of them were drunk, but Sun Mingche was still sober. His Royal Highness is back. Hurry and bring water to His Highness. When I got back to my residence, it was already late at night. Lu Qingyu was sitting upright on the bed, her head covered tightly, and her whole figure looked like an elegant statue. Sun Mingche quickly picked up the hijab with a scale, revealing the hibiscus face of the newlywed bride underneath. Ma'am, you have worked hard today. Sun Mingche apologized. Lu Qingyu smiled slightly and pointed at the wine glass. Husband, it's time for you to have a drink. This night, the red candles were shining brightly and the tents were warm. Lu Qingyu knew how to cooperate with him, And because of his martial arts skills and strong physical strength, he was not afraid of giving up halfway. The two of them were circling each other, the candlelight was swaying, they were panting slightly, and laughter could be heard from time to time, which made the maid who was watching outside the room blush. This body is a natural beauty, with delicate body and soft flesh, skin like gelatin, and a warm and fragrant nephrite in his arms. Synopsis really can't get enough of her. Jade wrists are born from jade, and red gauze is soaked in fragrant sweat. Then raise your legs and shake your waist. After a pleasant night, I didn't realize the red sun was rising. I asked for water several times throughout the night. At first, it was the palace maid who served me, but later the girls couldn't bear the shame, and they were replaced by the palace maid. When the sky turned white, the two of them called for water for the last time, washed themselves, changed their clothes, and prepared to serve tea. The couple went away hugging each other, but little did they know that the women in the backyard were almost chewing their silver teeth. Weren't they just making noise all night? Jia Yuan-shun held Qin's hand in disbelief. When His Highness the Third Highness asked her to sleep with him before, it was always done once. But the newlyweds had a night of trouble. The wrist holding Qin was so painful from Jia Yuan-shun's grasp, but he didn't dare to remind her, so he only said softly, "Girl, that's the princess." Always having an affair with your concubine is called being greedy for beauty and not doing your job properly. And having a good night with your wife is a harmonious and loving relationship between husband and wife. This is the difference between wives and concubines. Jia Yuan-shun let go, took 2 steps back, and fell onto the couch in front of the window. After being stunned for a long time, she touched her chest again to comfort herself. "It's okay, don't be afraid. Since His Highness and the third prince are in love as husband and wife, His Highness will definitely be married soon. When the time comes, I can just ask your Highness to be kind and let me have one." Bao Qin said with tears in her eyes. That's right, the girl wants to be more open-minded. In the emperor's bedroom, the emperor and the queen were sitting on the left and right, and at the bottom were various princes and princesses, as well as a few unmarried princes. Lu Qingyu stepped forward to offer tea and met several princes and princesses. Everyone had seen each other, and it was time to disperse. But the emperor cleared his throat and smiled. "I just realized today that the princes are all grown up, especially the eldest and second eldest, who always bear the title of bald princes. It will be difficult for them to send you any errands in the future. While the third child is getting married, let's seal the elders of you." The expressions of everyone present suddenly changed. The queen gripped the veil tightly, with such force that she almost poked a hole in the fine silk. The emperor never discussed it with her beforehand. Moreover, what does it mean to be crowned king at this time? The eldest prince will not be sealed when he gets married, the second prince will not be sealed when he gets married, but when the third prince gets married, all 3 adult children will be sealed with a click? Your Majesty, what does this mean? Could it be that he really values the third prince? Wait a minute, the 4th child is getting older. The queen's heart was in turmoil, but the emperor's personal eunuch had already come out holding the imperial edict. Asterisk, 6 poems for promoting makeup, created by Wang Yanhong, a poet of the Ming Dynasty. Following the heavens, the emperor ordered. The eldest son of the emperor, Qin Mingyuan, is handsome and diligent in learning. He is now canonized as Prince Kong. The emperor's second son, Qin Mingshun, has long been a wise man. He is now canonized as Prince Sin. The third son of the emperor, Qin Mingshi, is a man of outstanding talents. He is now canonized as Prince E. You can install a prime minister and officials in the palace, and a bodyguard of 200 people. Add 10 taels of gold and 50 bolts of silk. The title can be hereditary and passed on to the eldest son in the future. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the order. The 3 spoke in unison. Getting up from the ground, the 3 princes obviously hated each other to death, but they still had to congratulate each other with fake smiles on their faces. Congratulations to Prince Kong. Congratulations to Prince Sin. Congratulations, I have met Prince E. You can't afford it, Prince Kong. Please take care of yourself. On the surface, it was a lively and perfunctory affair, and he performed a brother, friend, and brother respect for the emperor's father. Returning to her palace, the queen raised her hand and swept away everything on a table. Porcelain bells jingled and shattered all over the floor, and a palm-sized copper incense burner rolled and spewed incense ashes. Prince Kong. Kong. Wow, so good. The queen panted violently, her chest heaving up and down, and a mean and angry smile appeared on her heavily made-up face. He didn't discuss such a big matter with me at all about a prince becoming a king. He didn't discuss it with me at all. I was kept in the dark from the beginning to the end. He didn't say a word to me at all. Wow, very good. Okay, I gave birth to his children, took care of the family business, and had to deal with his many concubines, but he used me as an outsider to defend himself. It's really good. Sin Ming Yuan stood beside the queen gloomily and did not comfort her. He also had resentment in his heart. He is the eldest son. He is a direct descendant and has an eldest son. Logically speaking, he should be the perfect candidate for the crown prince. But the emperor refused to seal it. When the courtiers submitted a letter asking for the crown prince, the emperor also said, "My son is too weak. If he is made a crown prince too early, he may lose his fortune." Pooh! Now the 3 adult princes have been made county kings. If you really value him, wouldn't you give him a throne? It's obvious that he doesn't think highly of him at all. Mother, do you think my father's action was for the 3rd child or the 4th child? It must be for the 3rd child. That bitch Lu. The queen gritted her teeth. Concubine Shinda was not favored. She gave the 4th child to her because she was in a suitable position. It was only after the 4th child reached 6 years old that her name was recorded. How does he look like the 3rd child? The emperor had already decided to give him to bitch Lu. He hugged him when he was just 1 month old, and he was added to the family tree when he was just 1 year old and recorded in bitch Lu's name. Huh, what a well-intentioned person. Sin Ming Yuan had a gloomy face and said softly, "But, Queen Mother, the 4th child will soon join the government. The younger brothers have grown up one by one, and there are more and more. We can't prevent them by ourselves. We still have to strengthen ourselves first. But my father always said he didn't trust me and wouldn't send me on errands. Mother, you think of a solution for me." Here, the mother and son are plotting. On the other side, another mother and son were very harmonious. "Aunt, you still call me aunt? Now you have to call me mother and concubine after me." Sin Mingxie and Lu Qingyu stood together and served tea to concubine Liang. "Mother, please have some tea." Concubine Liang quickly took it, took a sip, and asked Yu Tao to bring over the meeting gift she had prepared, a set of fine roasted blue noodles. "I didn't expect your father to confer a title on my son, so according to the regulations, you can also wear this hairpin." Concubine Liang plucked a 6-tailed phoenix hairpin from her head, smiled kindly, and put it on Lu Qingyu's bun. "Thank you very much, concubine." Lu Qingyu didn't feel strange at all because she had changed her mind. Like Lu Xianghan, she still acted coquettishly with concubine Liang without any obstacles. "Okay, good girl, you'll live a good life from now on, The two of them had lunch in Liang Guifei's palace. Originally, according to the rules, Lu Qingyu should serve concubine Liang for meals, but how could concubine Liang be willing to set the rules for her? He only asked her to pick up 2 chopsticks, and then he quickly asked her to sit down and eat with Sin Mingxie. In the afternoon, the newlyweds went back to the house to rest. Think about it. After eating and drinking enough, it is the time when blood sugar rises and you become drowsy. Holding your soft and fragrant daughter-in-law in your arms and taking a comfortable nap is simply not a great feeling. And he's been crowned king. Although he is only a county king, he can raise private soldiers in an open and honest manner. You can also recruit subordinates and be fully equipped with royal officials. It's about to grow and develop. Because he always sent his disciples out to do tasks before, although the probability of dropping Songlong stickers was not high, he had already accumulated more than a dozen of them. Moreover, ordinary book boys, bookkeepers, and other characters are not considered as retainers due to their low martial arts skills, but are considered as servants. They can be recruited directly through the butler, which is not too convenient. There are almost no disadvantages except that it is time-consuming and labor-intensive to brush up the favorability level. Anyway, in idle games, there's basically no shortage of money. Even if it's missing, you'll have it after a while. Disciples with high martial arts skills can work as spies or personal guards. The accountants, book boys, and other servants summoned in the game are no different from real people in appearance, words, and deeds, but their abilities are completely extraordinary. Some time ago, Sin Mingche summoned a book boy to organize the study room of his palace. Who knew that this book boy was a fully automatic document organizer with a built-in search function? Is it easier to use than the computers in the library? The work is done neatly and the tone is rigorous, which is simply not great. The two of them took a comfortable nap, and when they woke up, it was almost time for dinner. Sin Mingche has 3 days of wedding leave. After returning home with Lu Qingyu, it's almost time to pack up and get out of the palace. He already has his own home, and he still stays in his father's house. What nonsense! Your Highness, do the 3 concubines in the back room want to be promoted? No need. Just find a yard to put the 4 of them in. Well, also, we will have 2 concubines in our family in a few days. I've left it all to you. This is the account book. This is the key to the palace. You can use the money in the account as you like. The scene doesn't need to be too big. If it's extravagant, why don't you spend my money? As long as it doesn't lose the face of the palace. That's it. Lu Qingyu chuckled. Okay, then I, as the housekeeper, will take on the responsibilities of the housekeeper. You're not only a butler now, you are also a mistress. I will not disappoint His Highness. The two of them played the piano and the harp in harmony, and they had such a close relationship that the women in the back room couldn't sit still. Princess hasn't summoned us yet. We should go pay respects to the princess. In the small hall, the 4 women expressed the same meaning with every word they said to each other. In fact, according to the etiquette at this time, they can only be regarded as aunts if the mistress accepts the tea served to them. Otherwise, they can only be regarded as concubines whose identities are not yet known. They can only be said to be masters or slaves. She is the maid of the general house. Jia Yuanchun wiped the corners of his lips with a handkerchief. Sisters, why don't we? On the 4th day, it was time to move. Even if modern people move, they have to pack a lot of big and small bags, let alone what they're doing now in ancient times. In fact, a month ago, the yard where Sin Mingche lived began to pack up things, packing what should be packed and moving out what should be moved. His warehouses in the palace were emptied, leaving only the things needed for daily use. In the past 3 days, he and Lu Qingyu had not been idle, watching the people below unpacking and wrapping the 3 things that needed to be brought into the yard. Finally, on the evening of the 4th day, they went with a large group of people. Their new home. As long as your house is good, you can do whatever you want with it. Sin Mingche felt a long-lost freedom, just like when he left home when he first entered college in his previous life. No, it's more fun than going to college. After all, he still has an all-around manager to take care of his food, clothing, housing, and transportation. Basically, he doesn't have to worry about life. He just needs to concentrate on his career. The 3 princes have all been granted the title of county prince, and the battle between them has officially begun. It was a covert poke before, but now it's becoming more and more blatant. Especially the eldest and second eldest child. They were like sparks flying when they went to court every day, and they would drag Sin Mingche into trouble from time to time. Whereas their emperor father, just watching from above, not talking, just like watching the excitement. Although he understood that this was an observation of them, Sin Mingche still felt quite chilled. And recently, something happened that made both the eldest prince and the second prince agitated. The Zhen family in Jiangnan is sending their daughter to Beijing. Although it was not stated clearly, this girl was the daughter of Zhen Yingjia, the current head of the Zhen family in Jiangnan, and she was bound to marry into the royal family. The eldest prince and the second prince were both crazy. The 4th prince is about to reach adulthood and start a palace and marry a concubine, so he is also working hard to get it. Whoever wins over the Jiangnan Zhen family can marry this girl, which means that he has a huge help. Your Highness, do you have any thoughts about that girl? Lu Qingyu asked him with a smile. Thinking that the Jiangnan Zhen family was the first to be ransacked, Sin Mingche quickly waved his hand. Forget it, the Zhen family is unreliable. The Jin family is responsible for manufacturing in Jiangnan. They should be the confidants of the father. But they have gone too far and have regarded the father's money bag as their own. The salt tax and silk tax in Jiangnan have been abnormal in the past few years. They're sending their daughter to Beijing this time. I think they are here to find out what the father is thinking. Lu Qingyu frowned slightly. My father went to Jiangnan 3 times, and it was always the Zhen family who picked him up. My father was willing to let them touch the salt tax and silk tax in Jiangnan, probably to let them make up for the shortfall. To make up for the shortfall? Sun Mingche sneered. The Jiangnan salt tax is worth millions a year. Add the silk tax, and it's an even more terrifying figure. But when I checked the files, I discovered that the salt tax and silk tax collected from Jiangnan in the past 2 years are extremely low. Pick up the car? Even if you pick up the car 3 times, it won't cost tens of millions of money, right? You just got used to it after taking it twice. Last year, Mr. Lin was sent there as the magistrate of Yangzhou and also the salt inspector. The Zhen family has restrained a lot. Only then can we see the salt tax in Jiangnan. I think the Zhen family is used to being unscrupulous just because their old lady is the nanny of their father. They don't know how to be tyrannical in Jiangnan. Now their family is at the height of its power, and it's not obvious yet, but its prosperity will inevitably decline, and it won't be so in the future. You know how? If I marry a woman from their family, I'm afraid that I'll be like an old man who hangs himself because he doesn't want to live too long. Lu Qingyu held her chin in one hand and looked at him with a smile. Then, Your Highness, are you really no longer interested in that girl from the Zhen family? I heard that she is as beautiful as a flower, has a gentle and virtuous personality, is good at playing music, chess, calligraphy, and painting, and is a knitting girl. All right, Sun Mingche said amusedly. Are there too many women like this? Not to mention you. Which of my concubines are not so praised? In fact, all the ladies are the same, and they're almost the same number. You're the only one who has the same feelings as me. Enough. Lu Xianghan looked at him with a smile. Your Highness, when you were giving instructions on government affairs just now, your whole figure seemed to glow. Sun Mingche smiled and poked her face gently. Good sister. By the way, you have to watch the backyard carefully. Those concubines, especially those with natal families, are not allowed to spread news to the outside world. In the west courtyard, the 4 concubines were still stuffed into a small courtyard. There are 2 masters in the east and west compartments, each with a room, and they share the small hall in the middle. Because Jia Yuanchun got it from the queen, he and Xia Han lived in the east wing with a better view. Bao Qin, Your Highness is still resting in the princess's room today. Girl, when I was carrying the meal, I heard someone from the big kitchen saying that His Highness is still eating in the main room today. At this time, there is no movement here. His Highness is either resting in front, or he is still in the main room. House! Jia Yuanchun leaned back and lay on the bed, holding a handkerchief to cover his face. How long has it been, and it's still like this? When they first moved in, several of their concubines went to pay their respects to the princess. The princess accepted their tea and offered them rewards, but she was always indifferent to them. They are not allowed to wait in front of me. Greetings are only given once every 10 days, and they are not allowed to go to the garden as they please. It is equivalent to trapping the 4 of them here. One of the 2 concubines lived in the east courtyard, and the other lived in the west courtyard. They were both in the second courtyard. One was the legitimate daughter of the Liaodong commander, and the other was the only daughter of the local governor's family. His Highness was also indifferent to the 2 concubines. But the concubines can still go to the garden at least, and they, the concubines, can only be bored. By the way, miss, I also heard news that the eldest daughter of the Zhen family in Jiangnan is also going to Beijing. What? Jia Yuanchun sat up in shock. The Zhen family and the Jia family are close friends. If a girl from the Zhen family enters Prince Yi's palace, she will become a concubine, right? Then does she still have a place to stand? I'm afraid I'll be treated like an outcast. Bao Qin, think of a way to send a message to your family. I remember that Brother Lien has some relationship with His Highness. For the sake of Miss Zhen, or to be precise, for the Zhen family behind her, These people are like 8 immortals crossing the sea, each showing their magical powers, stirring up the atmosphere in the capital as if it were boiling water. As a result, His Majesty the Emperor made a saucy move that no one expected. When Miss Jeanne arrived in the capital, he took her directly into his harem. The girl was also given the title Jeanne Guay-Fei. This move was truly something no one expected. What was even more unexpected was that concubine Jeanne became pregnant within 2 months of entering the palace. Well, the wishful thinking of the eldest prince, the second prince, and the fourth prince was shattered to pieces. Only Ming-Che was busy and sat firmly on the daitai. Haha, while the emperor is still alive and well. Went over his confidence. Are you tired of living? What emperor could endure this? What a joke. Unexpectedly, just because he didn't fight or grab, his emperor father saw it. The emperor made a decree. Literary probably means, when I was young, I visited the Jiangnan area several times. Now that I am older, I miss the scenery of Jiangnan very much. But as I get older, I am no longer allowed to make such a long journey from north to south. Now I will ask my son to go to Jiangnan for a while, see the scenery of Jiangnan for me, and let me relive the beautiful memories of my youth. The prince who went to Jiangnan for the emperor was Ming-Che. He is also the only adult prince who did not jump up and down when the Jeanne family daughter came to Beijing. Even a fool knows that the emperor definitely did not send the prince there just for fun. There must be something going on that requires him to go to Jiangnan to investigate. This is the first time the emperor has sent a formal errand to the prince. The eldest prince and the second prince were heartbroken. The queen's Fengzhou palace reported a lot of porcelain damage. The fourth prince only wished he could not have been born 2 months earlier. There was not much time left for Ming-Che to prepare, only 2 or 3 days. Lu Qingyu prepared a salute for him in an orderly manner. Princess, as soon as I leave, the house will be in your hands. Lu Qingyu smiled mischievously and drew a frame on the table with his finger to indicate that in the system home, they could not only communicate, but also transfer items and information. Ming-Che was not idle during this period and summoned 2 disciples. One is Wen Jianming, and the other is Lu Xiangyang. Both of these people are good-looking and naturally have good martial arts skills. Being personal guards will not bring shame to him. Also on the road were 2 palace officials, a group of internal eunuchs who took care of his life, and 50 prince guards. The emperor also sent 10 people to him. Fireworks fall in Yangzhou in March. 100 or so people took a medium-sized passenger ship and headed south. But how could Ming-Che just stay on the ship and go to Jiangnan comfortably? As soon as he left the capital, he ordered several personal eunuchs to pretend that he was always there so that no one else could notice. Then, he took 2 guests with him, took a boat, put on more ordinary clothes, and went incognito for a private visit. The speed of the small boat was much faster than that of the big ship, and it drifted all the way to Suzhou. In the evening, Ming-Che did not go ashore to stay overnight, but took out 3 crispy roast ducks from his game backpack. The 3 of them ate one each and rested on the boat. Halfway through the second update, Ming-Che suddenly heard some strange sounds. He turned over and found that Wen Jianming and Lu Xiangyang had also woken up and were quietly lying on the bow of the boat looking out. What happened? Your Highness, there's a man lying under the water and floating over. His breath is weak and short. He must be injured. Listen to the sound. Someone is searching in the distance, and they are coming this way. Okay. Ming-Che's interest immediately aroused. Needless to say, those people must have come to hunt down the man lurking underwater. A vendetta? He was originally a very curious person, and now he was invulnerable to all poisons. His martial arts skills were unparalleled. He had 2 helpers who were absolutely loyal to him, and he was still the prince of a country. He felt that he could have a hand in this excitement. Is that person not far away? Can you catch him? You can try. Not long after, the 2 men worked together to carry the man hiding underwater to their boat. The man was dripping wet, his skin was soaked and swollen, and several wounds on his body were white and oozing blood. His eyes were both frightened and alert. Who are you? Ming-Che was sitting in the cabin, smiling slightly, looking like a mysterious boss. A busybody. The man said in a low voice and quickly, "Master, no matter who you are, for the sake of your safety, just throw me down quickly. I will escape by myself, and you don't have to be implicated if something happens." Oh, seeing that Sinming was unmoved, the man gritted his teeth and lowered his voice another octave. "The people who are chasing me are members of the Zhun family in Jiangnan. The Zhun family in Jiangnan has a great business. I heard that a noble concubine was born a few days ago. Who can afford to provoke this?" Sinming narrowed his eyes slightly. "Why did you provoke the Jiangnan Zhun family? Let them make such a big fuss to arrest you. You just don't ask so many questions." The man smiled wryly. "Let me go down quickly, otherwise the Zhun family will search here soon, and none of us will be able to escape. His family has always been willing to kill the wrong person rather than let it go." Sinming chuckled and flashed the prince's gold medal in front of this person's eyes. "Kill me? Do you think they have the guts?" "What? You are His Highness the Third? Didn't you say that His Highness's ship is still halfway?" "Private interview incognito. Never heard of it?" The man knelt on the ground with a pop, and tears flowed out like a faucet that was turned on. I'm just here to find His Highness the Third Highness. The sky has eyes, the sky really has eyes." Shaking his hands, he took out a package wrapped in oil paper and sealed with wax from his arms. He held it in both hands and handed it to Sinming. "Your Highness, this is evidence that the Jiangnan Zhun family accepted bribes, took charge of lawsuits, bought and sold official positions, and interfered in salt affairs. Please make the decision for the people of Jiangnan." "What? This is too coincidental. Sinming just came here for a private visit incognito, and he happened to meet such a person." This package was sealed very tightly. Even after being soaked in water with this person for so long, it was still strong. It took a lot of work to open it. Sinming winked and asked Wen Jiaming to put this thing in the game home. "I don't know if what you said is true or not, but now we have to avoid people from the Zhun family, and we can't reveal our identities." Sinming thought quickly and asked Wen Jiaming to stay on the boat. Lu Xiangyang, who was better at Qinggong, took this person to avoid him and diverted their attention. If there were other guards following him, they would naturally say something like, "The son of a rich man will not sit in court to dissuade him." But the retainers summoned in the game are 100% obedient to the master's orders. Needless to say, the 4 soldiers divided into 3 groups and went their separate ways. The Zhun family should also know that this matter is shameful, and they did not use their name in a grand manner. They only used small boats with black awnings, but there were a total of about 10 boats and hundreds of people. These people were all members of the Zhun family, wearing uniform clothes. They flashed the name of the Zhun family. Half of them went down the river, and the other half began to search the boats one by one. In the Jiangnan area, the name of the Zhun family is sometimes more useful than the name of the emperor. So even though I was dissatisfied, I was still quarreled in the middle of the night, and everyone basically let them search me. Sinming hid his figure, holding Wu Ying in his hand, and looking at the right moment, he suddenly released a handful. The leaders of the clan who were showing off their power on the boat didn't even make a single sound. They all fell into the water. When a person dies, he naturally sinks. But a few people on the boat didn't know that, so they yelled at people to go out and fish it out. It took a lot of effort to fish them out, but they were already dead. One advantage of using shadow is that killing people is almost invisible. Sinming's needles directly pierced their hearts. From the outside, it was just a small red spot on their body. Even if you dissect the corpse, you may not be able to find shadow. Seeing that they were in a mess, Sinming quietly changed his position and prepared to continue killing. Who did it? Brother Wu and the others have run out of energy. What happened? Is it a sudden illness? Bah, are there many sudden illnesses? Who on earth is he? So brave, dared to touch anyone from the Zhun family. The light of the torch swayed, and the people on the boat became a mess. Quickly, call back those who were separated. Sinming sneered in his heart, calmly changed his position, and threw out another handful of Wu Ying. With his physical skills, It was impossible for these losers to detect him. Another group of Jun family servants fell down like wooden stakes. Dead again. Who? Who the hell? Don't think this pier is haunted, right? Impossible, absolutely impossible. How could there be a ghost? No, absolutely not. Let's go quickly. But, the person the family wanted us to arrest hasn't been caught yet. At this rate, let's not even mention catching someone. We have to kill ourselves first. What should I do? Let's go. Is that really the way to go? Humph. It seems that not enough people have been killed. Synopsis moved lightly and hid behind a boat, clinging to the boat like a fallen leaf. With a move of his finger, Wu Ying turned into a thunder and firebomb. Thunder firebombs are equivalent to one of the pinnacles of thermal weapons in the era of inorganic chemical engineering. Anyway, Synopsis didn't see anyone in this world making it. Only he had it in his hands. Without saying much, Synopsis flicked his fingers and flicked out 5 or 6 thunderbombs, hitting several of the Jin family's boats. The thunderbomb encountered a violent impact and exploded with a bang sound. Iron pieces flew everywhere, and the flames gradually spread. The ship is on fire. It's on fire. Where did this fire come from? Change the ship quickly. The ship is sinking. What to do with the corpses on the boat? You can't take care of the living people. Why bother with the corpses? Come back and salvage another day. Change the ship. Change the ship quickly. Let's go. This place is evil. There was a lot of commotion outside, and it was already a mess. I guess I couldn't care less about chasing people. But Synopsis still wanted to wait until they really left before returning to his ship. But it's quite uncomfortable to be blown by the cold wind outside. Why not find a cabin where no one is around to take shelter? With this thought in his mind, he just did it. Unexpectedly, as soon as he entered an empty cabin, the cabin door was pushed open and a little girl came in. Who are you? Synopsis didn't expect it to be such a coincidence that he pressed his palm on the porthole and was about to turn it out. But out of the corner of his eye, he saw a ruby longevity lock hanging around the little girl's neck. The wishful longevity lock is a Hatian ruby the size of a pigeon egg. It is as bright as a coxcomb and has a grease luster. Its purple-red area looks like coagulated blood. It is inlaid with 5 colored gemstones and has a carved picture of bamboo for peace. This is Synopsis' gift to Lin Rohai's daughter. In other words, she is Lin Daiyu. Calculating the time. Now should be the time when Lin Daiyu sets off from Yangzhou to Jia's mansion. This is what happened. What a fate. Synopsis quickly turned his back. Girl, don't panic. May I ask if your surname is Lin, and your father is Lin Rohai, Lord Lin? How do you know? Synopsis sighed silently, took out the prince's gold medal, turned around slowly, and handed it over. Miss Lin, don't be afraid. Look, what is this? Sister Lin deserves to be raised by Lin Rohai as a man. When encountering this kind of thing, she didn't panic at all. She looked carefully and said in surprise, You are His Highness the Third Prince? Why are you here? It's a long story. Synopsis smiled slightly. Miss Lin, can you close the door first? I'll avoid the Jun family people outside first. Sister Lin is quite smart and understood as soon as she heard this. Could it be that the search for people in the Jun family has something to do with His Highness? Exactly. Okay, I won't ask. Sister Lin simply nodded and sat down at the door, exactly diagonal from Synopsis, which was a polite position. Synopsis took a closer look and saw that the little girl was only 6 or 7 years old. She had a pale complexion and a thin figure. She felt as if she was recovering from a serious illness. Thinking about the time again, Jiamin passed away not long after Chi-Chi. It seems that Sister Lin took a boat to Beijing as soon as she came out of Rochelle. Losing his mother when he was young brought great sorrow to his life. Sister Lin probably fell ill because of this, so she looks very weak now. I saw Miss Lin when she was a child. Yes, my father told me that this longevity lock is a first-year gift from His Highness to me. I didn't expect you to grow so big. Synopsis took out a small porcelain bottle from his arms and placed it on the small table beside him. Looking at your bad complexion, I'm afraid you are weak. Take these pills. Take 1 pill a day for a few days to replenish your vitality. If you are worried, you can also ask the doctor at the pharmacy to take a look before using it. Thank you, Your Highness. When you go to the capital, I'm afraid you have to go to Duke Rongwa's mansion. Exactly. I am here to join my grandmother. Lin Daiyu covered half of her face with a handkerchief and peeked at Sin Mingche. The fright she had just received slowly calmed down, and she felt that even in this situation, the Third Highness was really heroic and majestic. Lin Daiyu also heard about the Zhen family's dominance and misfortune in Jiangnan. She also knew that her father was at odds with the Zhen family because of the salt policy. In her heart, her father was naturally upright and correct, and it was the Zhen family who was at fault. In this case, as soon as she heard that the Third Highness was against the Zhen family, Lin Daiyu felt more favorable towards him. She only felt that he was also a person who cared about the country and the people. The rules of Ningrong's second mansion are quite chaotic. Miss Lin should be more cautious when she goes here. After all, in Lin Daiyu's impression, it was the first time they met, and Sin Mingche was not easy to talk to each other, so he only exchanged simple words. When I go to Yangzhou, I must meet your father. If there is anything in the future, I will bring it to you. Isn't this troublesome to your highness? What's the trouble? Master Lin and I have a half-master friendship, so I should do my part to help him with a little help. Then, I will thank your highness first. At this time, the commotion outside gradually subsided, and Jia the Zhen family walked away in a panic, almost peeing. It was time for Sin Mingche to return to his ship. The reason why I came here this time. Don't worry, your highness, I haven't seen anything, and I don't know anything. Sister Lin answered very decisively, which shows her intelligence. Sin Mingche nodded. Thank you very much, Miss Lin. After that, he quietly climbed out of the window and left, his whole body as light and stealthy as a shadow. I have to go ashore tomorrow to treat the person who delivered the evidence. He still had to take a closer look to see how true or false these incriminating evidences were. The Zhen family is a behemoth that occupies the south of the Yangtze River. It was getting dark, and Sin Mingche and his two disciples returned to the boat, taking the dripping guy with them. This guy had already put on clean and fresh clothes, bandaged his wounds, and looked at Sin Mingche as if he were looking at the savior. Okay, let's talk about it. What's going on? As soon as Sin Mingche said these words, the man knelt down again, and his tears seemed to be incontinent again. Please, your highness, make the decision for our family. According to what this person said, it turned out that this person was the housekeeper of Zhaidong, the current prefect of Suzhou. He had grown up together and was very loyal. Zhaidong also came from a wealthy family. Since he became the prefect of Suzhou, he has enforced the law fairly and fairly. This made the Zhen family very dissatisfied, and they repeatedly opposed Zhaidong. Zhaidong was young and had a bad temper, so he secretly collected evidence of the Zhen family's crimes and prepared to seize the right opportunity to bring down the Zhen family. Unexpectedly, the Zhen family acted first and sent someone to poison Zhaidong. Zhaidong took medicine for a few days but still couldn't help, so he asked his housekeeper to bring the evidence to His Highness the Third Prince, who was about to come on a tour. Zhaidong did this because he wanted to avenge himself. Sin Mingche heard this and was speechless. After all, it is just a family statement, which is not worthy of trust. Who knows whether Zhaidong is angry and goes against the Zhen family, or whether the two parties are colluding and have a falling out and want revenge. It's better to wait until we get to the place and conduct careful investigation to find out the truth. The boat traveled very quickly and arrived in Yangzhou in just a few days. It is a beautiful scenery in spring. Yangzhou flowers are blooming for 10 miles, and it is really a beautiful scenery. The street was crowded with tourists, and the daughter's house in bright clothes came and went, covering their faces with fans and smiling brightly. Yangzhou is such a good place. Taking a gentle breath of the floral-scented breeze, Sin Mingche waved his folding fan and set foot on the land of Yangzhou with two disciples. After the rain, the cicadas are noisy, and the pines and osmanthus are fluttering in the air. The steps are covered with moss, so the white birds stay late. The deep trees grow in the evening mist, and the small buildings under the setting sun. Who would have known that Jushi Road, where the songs are played, is Yangzhou? Yangzhou is really beautiful. Your Highness, the Zinzi Temple in Yangzhou has a quiet scenery, and the monks in the temple are good at vegetarian food. Why don't you go there and have some fun? Very good. Changji Temple, also known as Shangfang Changji Temple, Shangfang Temple, also known as Jushi Temple, is located in the north of Yueming Bridge outside the east gate of Yangzhou. It was originally a Sui palace and was later rebuilt into a temple. It is spring, and the peony garden in Changji Temple is in full bloom, with pink, white, purple, and red flowers and a patch of tea leaves. There were also men and women traveling together, some princes and grandsons traveling with prostitutes, some xiaojiabiyu meeting each other, or a few scholars meeting each other for sightseeing. There was the sound of strings and bamboos, laughter, and it was very lively. The sun was shining brightly, and the scenery was spectacular. Go and donate some sesame oil money, and stay for a vegetarian meal at noon. As ordered. Even though this is a Buddhist temple, the monks also care about money. With a donation of 200 taels of sesame oil, Sin Ming-che and the others were immediately treated as honored guests. The young novice took them to a separate room. The wing room has a table and a couch, which means you can take a lunch break here after dinner. The vegetarian meal served by Zinzi Temple consists of 8 dishes and 2 soups. The dishes are bergamot bamboo shoots, merit golden legs, luohanzhai, bazanhe, silver straw mushrooms, suitcase tofu, jade balls, vegetarian fried crab powder. The soups are bamboo sheng and golden needle soup, double lotus lily, and longan soup. The meal was ordinary white rice, and a plate of mung bean cake was served after the meal. While he was using it, Sin Ming-che suddenly heard the familiar voice next door. In fact, the soundproofing of this wing is very good, but Sin Ming-che's hearing is extraordinary, and he still heard the sounds next door clearly. The Zhen family is simply bullying others. His family is in a state of trembling now, and has fallen below the bottom line of a noble family. What Dong Wang said is exactly what he said. The Zhen family is so lawless that they actually dared to poison the imperial official. It seems that there is another noble concubine in the palace, and Jane is still in the emperor's heart. Haha, Jane is in the emperor's heart? If His Majesty gives the daughter of the Zhen family to any prince, then it will be called Jane in the emperor's heart. Exactly. If Your Majesty gives the daughter of the Zhen family to the prince, it will be a sign of support, and it will also ensure the honor and favor of the Zhen family for a generation. However, now that concubine Zhen is pregnant, there are 2 different things. Mr. Zheng, you are wrong. Even if the daughter of the Zhen family is pregnant now, she still doesn't know if she can give birth. Even if she does give birth, she doesn't know whether it is a boy or a girl, even if she is a prince. Your Majesty is already mature now. Yes, this grandson, I really don't know if he's a life-saving treasure or a life-saving Yama. Sin Ming-che smiled and motioned Lu Xiangyang to go next door to report. It's just that we're destined to meet old friends. Why don't we come over and talk about it? Yes. Not long after, Lin Rahai walked in the door first and was surprised when she saw Sin Ming-che. Why is the Third Highness here? I just received the report from the palace that the official ship is still there. Then Lin Rahai smiled. Yes, His Highness the Third Prince must not want others to know that he is here. It is because the old minister made a mistake. Sin Ming-che stood up, pointed to the seat next to him, and said with a smile, "It is fate to meet Master Lin here. How about sitting down and eating something together? Old minister, it is better to obey orders than to be respectful." After the 5 flavors of the dish had passed, Sin Ming-che asked tentatively, Mr. Lin's ancestral home is Suzhou, and now he is serving as the magistrate of Yangzhou. How does the Shin family look like? Oh, Sin Ming-che smiled. I won't hide it from Mr. Lin. I really encountered something interesting when I came here. As he spoke, he recounted what happened on the boat. Lin Rahai sighed after hearing this. Your Highness, to be honest, the Zhen family is now acting unscrupulously and is at the height of its power in the Jiangnan area. Not to mention poisoning the Suzhou magistrate. They also want to kill the old ministers. Huh? What? Lin Rahai sneered. Dong, the prefect of Suzhou, only enforced the law impartially, so he made the Zhen family hold a grudge and poisoned him. What's more, the old minister was appointed as the salt inspector, but he actually blocked their way of making money. To be honest, Your Highness, Zhuijing passed away 2 months ago. The reason he told the world was that he died of a sudden illness. In fact, Lin Rahai had tears in her eyes. It was the Zhen family who poisoned me and wanted to kill me. But by some strange combination of circumstances, I let my wife stop this disaster for me. This is really the most high-end political struggle, but using the simplest fighting method. There is no labeling or anything, let alone what is right and proper, but direct poisoning and assassination. I will kill you. Is it so arrogant? Thinking of this, Cin Mingche could only comfort him softly. Mr. Lin, this person has passed away. Please express my condolences. Master Lin, I came here with the secret decree of my father. I want to strictly investigate the illegal activities of the Zhen family in Jiangnan. In the future, I will report to heaven, and your majesty will be severely punished. Lin Rahai smiled bitterly inside. Even so, the Zhen family is so prosperous now. How difficult is it to find evidence? If it is just a small crime that competes with the people for profit, I am afraid that the Zhen family will not be brought down. Your Highness, do you have any good ideas? I dare to ask Mr. Lin. The Zhen family is not clean when it comes to the salt administration, right? Cin Mingche holds the pearl of wisdom. I dare to ask Mr. Lin. The Zhen family is not clean when it comes to the salt administration, right? Cin Mingche holds the pearl of wisdom. Lin Rahai nodded approvingly. Yes, the Zhen family always has to take half of the silver from the Yanjing Yamen. This can't satisfy their appetite. Even the private salt, they are involved. The Zhen family is so bold. How dare they sell illegal salt? Oh, the Zhen family is very extravagant and lustful. How can we beat his family's endless spending without some means? Lin Rahai smiled coldly. Your Highness is coming to Jiangnan. Do you need to pay a visit to the Zhen family? By then, I am afraid you will be able to see the Zhen family. Cin Mingche made a note in his mind, thinking of one more crime to investigate against the Zhen family. Private salt? Haha, the Zhen family is really brave. Salt and iron are all controlled products. How dare you privately own them? There are not enough heads to kill. It seems that 2 disciples are not enough. We need to summon 2 more martial arts experts so that they can investigate and find out what kind of dirty tricks the Zhen family is up to. If your Highness is determined to investigate the Zhen family, it would be better to start with Zhen Heng, the youngest son of the 3rd eldest son of the Zhen family. Seeing Cin Mingche's serious expression, Lin Rahai pointed out a clear path for him. Zhen Heng is the 2nd generation from the head of the Zhen family. He is a sweetheart. He has been pampered by the Zhen family since he was a child, especially the old lady of the Zhen family. She likes this great-grandson very much. The treasure in front of her looks like something. Pampering often leads to playboys. When Zhen Heng grows up, he will bully men and dominate women. He will do all kinds of evil and will not tolerate evil. If your Highness meets this person, Lin Rahai smiled meaningfully before he finished speaking. Cin Mingche also smiled and picked up the teacup. Mr. Lin, Xiao Wang would like to give you a cup of tea instead of wine. Don't dare, don't dare. One part of the world is a bright, moonlit night, and 2 parts are rogues in Yangzhou. On the Qinhuai River, there are rows of boats, some large and some small, all with carved beams and painted pillars surrounded by gauze and filled with fragrant breezes. There are also women in thin clothes, singing and dancing. The sound of the pipa, the melodious sound of the piano, the faint music of the flute, and the tapping of the teeth create a scene of romance, prosperity, and wealth. Zhen Heng was lying on a beauty couch. Nie Xiaoqiu, a famous Qinhuai prostitute, was taking off her ring, peeling grapes carefully and feeding the emerald-like pulp into his mouth. Good man, be good. Zhen Heng put his hand directly into Nie Xiaoqiu's clothes and kept saying obscene words. Nie Xiaoqiu's cheeks were flushed, and she let him move, shyly pretending to reject him, which really seemed to be a bit of a romantic gesture. In fact, Although this young master of the Jun family has a bad temper, he is really generous with his actions. As long as he is made happy, he will be given any pearls, emeralds, or thousands of gold. If she receives the master of the Jun family a few more times, she will be able to save enough money to redeem herself. Everyone present here is also Jun Heng's friend, and they all couldn't help but tease him when they saw this situation. Ha 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 wow. Miss Nia is so weak, Mr. Jun is so skilled. Hey, how about letting Miss Nia drink from a leather cup with Mr. Jun? Yes, come on. This leather cup is to pass wine by mouth, which is a common trick in romantic circles. Nia Xiaoqiu followed his words, and all the friends present cheered. They were also accompanied by at least 1 or 2 charming famous prostitutes, who were laughing and joking around for a while, which was quite obscene. For a moment, the scene on the boat was considered lewd. Suddenly, the boat swayed slightly, and these gentlemen hadn't noticed it yet. Not long after, it swayed violently again. Sir, the ship is sinking. Zhen Heng suddenly raised his head. What? The ship is sinking? What's going on? The guard of the Jin family said hurriedly. We still don't know what's going on. Please take a moment, master, and move to a safe place. Zhen Heng cursed and stood up, escorted by the Zhan family guards, and walked out. The young men who were playing with him also quickly followed, and no one paid attention to the famous prostitutes who were shouting, "Lovely," just now. Because of the sudden incident, a bridge was built between the 2 boats with thick wooden boards. As soon as Zhen Heng stepped onto it, his knees suddenly softened and his feet slipped. It actually fell. Mr. Zhen has fallen into the water. Rescue him quickly. If anything happens to Mr. Zhen, none of you will survive. Save people. Quickly save people. The boat gradually sank, creating a somewhat deep whirlpool. It's strange to say that most people who fall into the water will always struggle a few times and float on the water for a while. But Zhen Heng actually sank straight up, with only a few bubbles popping up. Anyone who goes into the water to save someone will be rewarded with an ounce of silver. Anyone who rescues our young master from the Zhen family will be rewarded with 100 taels of silver. As soon as these words came out, the onlookers immediately splashed into the water like dumplings, and the river was as lively as a pot. After fishing for several hours, it was almost dawn, but still nothing was found. The people on the river, whether they were watching the excitement, fishing, or even passing by, all quietly evacuated. The further away from the wreck, the better. Although a reward of silver is good, you have to have a life to get it. If they still can't be fished out after such a long time, I'm afraid that young Master Zhen may be dead. What if you don't leave quickly and someone from the Zhen family meets you and gets angry? That is really a waste of life. Even the Zhen family's guards left quietly. When the Zhen family arrived, the river was empty except for the slightest ripples. Search quickly. Get the boat out for me and search along the river bank inch by inch. This is really not an accident, but man-made. If Cin Mingche hadn't shot through the numb tendons in Zhen Heng's knees, Zhen Heng wouldn't have fallen into the water. If Lu Xiangyang hadn't been lurking underwater, and Zhen Heng knocked him out as soon as he entered the water, the Zhen family's guards wouldn't have been missing him. By the time they started searching, Cin Mingche had already taken Zhen Heng in a small boat and drifted to who knows where. Who are you? How dare you kidnap me? Let me go. I'm the young master of the Zhen family. Who gave you the courage? How dare you tie me up? If you don't put me back quickly, I can spare your life. I tell you, you are finished. I am a member of the Jiangnanjin family. Jiangnanjin family. Have you heard of it? Zhen Heng has been yelling like this since he woke up. He still can't see his situation clearly, and he is very arrogant. Cin Mingche closed his eyes slightly and whispered, "Shut him up." Lu Xiangyang nodded, grabbed Zhen Heng's hair, and pushed his face into the lake. Zhen Heng was naturally struggling desperately, but now he was tied up like a rice dumpling. On the one hand, it was difficult for him to exert his strength. On the other hand, even if he was not tied up, he would not be able to resist Lu Xiangyang's martial arts skills. He was so submerged that he was vomiting bubbles. He drank an unknown amount of water before he was pulled up and his face was exposed to the water. Who knew that just after he took a breath, his face was pushed under the water again? After repeating this 3 times, Lu Xiangyang threw Zhen Heng back into the cabin. Zhen Heng's hair was dripping wet, his face was white from blisters, and his stomach was full of water. He lay on the ground with a dying breath and could no longer scream. Ahem. Who are you kidnapping me? What are you doing? Although Zhen Heng is usually arrogant in school, he is not a fool, on the contrary. He is very smart. Otherwise, he would not be Mrs. Zhen's favorite great-grandson. After being cleaned up like this, my mind is cleared up and I can talk properly. Sun Mingche smiled softly. How many people have you offended? Don't you know how many people you have offended? Did someone hire you to kidnap me? Could it be the Li family? No, they don't have the guts. Could it be the Schweff family? It's not like. Anyway, how much did they pay? I'll pay double, no, 3 times. Young Master Zhen, not everyone only has money in their eyes. Lu Xiangyang grabbed the hair on the back of Zhen Heng's head and lifted him up so that he faced Sun Mingche. Young Master, do you think that since we let you see our faces, we will still let you back alive? Zhen Heng's pupils suddenly dilated and his whole body began to tremble. Don't kill me. Whatever you want, I can give you. Don't kill me. Sun Mingche looked calm and unmoved. Listen up, you can answer whatever we ask. If there is 1 question, say 1. And if there are 2, say 2. If you don't answer, or you answer blindly. Wan Jianming pulled out a sharp dagger, the cold light shimmering, blowing the hair off. If we find you once, we will cut off one of your fingers. After cutting off the fingers, there are still toes. It doesn't matter if the toes are also cut off, just cut off a piece of flesh from your body. Have you ever heard of the punishment of being cut into pieces by 1,000 cuts? It is said that a person can be cut into pieces more than 3,000 times without dying. I'm not very good at my skills, so I can barely do a knife cut. If you tell the truth earlier, you can still keep a whole body. Otherwise, if you cut it into pieces and scatter it in the water to feed the fish, you will be a ghost and a mutilated ghost. You will also be a mutilated ghost in the next life. What do you think? Zhen Heng was so frightened that he peed. There was a wet puddle under his robe, and it smelled terrible. Sun Mingche frowned slightly. Clean him up. Lu Xiangyang nodded in agreement, then lifted Zhen Heng up by his hair and immersed him in the water. Just like the duck intestines cooked in Sichuan hot pot, it pays attention to 7 ups and 8 downs. First put it in to soak deeply, and then take it out to dry. If you do this 7 times, put it down for the 8th time, and then you can pick it up and eat it. Now Zhen Heng is like this duck intestine. When he was immersed in the water, the top of his head was not in the water. When he was lifted up, the water came out only to his chin. After being soaked in the water for 7 or 8 times, he was thrown back to the boat. Like a dead fish, it lay slumped on the deck. Spare your life. My hero, please spare your life. Zhen Heng feebly begged for mercy. Sun Mingche glanced at it. Lu Xiangyang knew what he meant and immediately stepped on Zhen Heng's belly. Zhen Heng just drank a lot of water. He had been drinking and having a banquet before, and his abdomen was as bloated as a drum. After being stepped on like this, he vomited out all the contents in his stomach with a wow sound all over his head and face. Lu Xiangyang's feet rubbed back and forth on his stomach until he emptied his stomach and nothing could be vomited out. Zhen Heng was lying in the filth he had vomited. His whole body was filled with a sour stench. He was already incontinent. He could not stop the flow of feces and urine. He was trembling and could only breathe. Wash him again. No. Gula gula gula. When he was thrown onto the deck again, tears and snot ran down Zhen Heng's face. I say everything. Please spare me. I know everything I can say. The suffocation of drowning is a type of near-death experience. Zhen Heng experienced it 3 times and was scared out of his wits. Now he's just an open dough bag. If he wants the contents inside, he can just pour it out. If we were to leave it to a society governed by the rule of law, we would still have to find ways to find loopholes in the criminal suspect's mind and break through his psychological defenses, not to mention the trouble. Nowadays, torture and extorting confessions are no longer a problem. Sun Mingche's move was similar to the effect of the killing stick. It knocked down the opponent's arrogance and made the opponent fear him. Coupled with his severe physical discomfort, it was difficult for him to lie. The first question is, who are the smuggled salt dealers with your family? Private salt? No. A finger. Don't tell me. Let me ask again. Who are the companies that sell smuggled salt together with your family? Me? Okay. I don't know much. I only know the salt merchant Lee's family. I don't know the rest. I really don't know. I usually just eat, drink, and have fun. These things at home are not my responsibility. Okay, second question. Which room in your family is responsible for selling private salt? Yes, it's the second bedroom. That's right. It's the second bedroom, and the boss of the second bedroom is responsible. Oh, it's true. Their room is very prestigious in our house. It's because most of the money in the family is earned from them. What I said is true. Well, okay, next question. How much do you know about the poisoning of the Suzhou prefect and the Yangzhou prefect? Me? Okay. Yeah, one finger. Don't, I said don't. Don't. My hands. Stop his bleeding. Yes. You still have 8 fingers and 10 toes. Take your time. Zhen Heng communicated in tears, crying loudly and begging for mercy. It's a pity that there is no one around, except for the long grass and water birds. His cries only stirred up a few sleeping birds, which flapped their wings and flew away. I was wrong. I was really wrong. I'm telling the truth. I was in the garden and listened to my great-grandfather and the housekeeper saying, since they don't know what to do, there's no need to keep them. I didn't dare to listen and ran away. I know better. Don't chop off my fingers. Please. Okay, next question. The torture lasted for nearly a night, until Dongfang was completely white. There was a thick pile of paper recording confessions, ranging from selling private money to bullying male tyrants and murdering people. It was too numerous to write down, and it was enough to make him die 10 times. Every page of the confession has Zhen Heng's bloody fingerprints, which are regarded as signatures. Zhen Heng's hands are now bare, with all 10 fingers missing, leaving only half a palm, which has been simply bandaged with medicine. His eyes are now dull, empty, and dull. When others ask him, he answers quickly and truthfully, almost like a puppet. The water on his body had dried up and was covered with blood marks. Gug out his eyes, cut out his tongue, and throw him at the front door of Zhen's mansion tonight during the night. By the way, doesn't he like promiscuous wives and daughters? No matter who asked or didn't know, Zhen Heng's taste was so peculiar. He was no longer satisfied with being a prostitute, but wanted to find a good woman from Zijia Bu. He forced his wife in front of her husband and her daughter in front of her mother, which caused a lot of trouble. Families were ruined and many people were mad. Cut off his descendants and clean up the mess.